He Sha and the group of Feng family children behind him laughed loudly. Shangguan Wenji, are you still waiting for your son to inform Nangong Yu? Ha ha ha, I advise you not to dream. With the relationship between the King of Hell Mansion and our Feng family, do you think they would be willing to offend our Feng family by helping you? What's more, your precious son, he may not even be able to get out of the palace. He is most likely dead under the hands of my disciples. If you still don't write the imperial edict, then I will kill your children one by one in front of you. Let's see how long you can hold. After speaking, he waved his hand, and the men in black grabbed a young princess in his hand. Father, help! The little princess was crying in fright. The last hope in Shangguan Wenji's heart was broken, and he suddenly sat down on the ground dejectedly. He said tremblingly, "Okay, I write. I write." His face was full of tears that were mixed with blood from the corners of his mouth, making him look extremely miserable. When he finished writing the imperial edict, half of his hair had turned gray as if his vitality was sucked away. Shangguan Qi took a step forward, seemingly concerned. "Father, are you okay? You beast, I don't have a son like you. You get out of here." Shangguan Qi smiled and said with a deep gaze, "Since father has already written the incorporation of the Jinwei army, why not you write the succession edict as well? If I become the emperor, I believe the incorporation of the Jinwei army will be smoother." The sky had gradually darkened. Sixth Prince Shangguan Heng was running madly at this moment on the quiet street of the Yanjing city. The guards who protected him were all dead. If it weren't for his alertness, he would have become a dead corpse. Even if he wasn't dead, his body was also covered in wounds. At this time, he finally took a breath and came to the street where King of Hell Mansion was. However, the pursuers behind him were getting closer. Even if they couldn't fly in Yanjing City, their pace was much faster than him. Moreover, they even had the leisure time to play cat and mouse with him. "Sixth Prince, after running all night, are you not tired? Do you think you can escape our palm by continuing to run?" Ha 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 ha. As Shangguan Heng's vision became blurred, he saw 3 people blocking his way. There was despair in his heart. He was already close to the King of Hell Mansion, but he couldn't move any further. Seeing that the sword in the man in black stabbing at him, Shangguan Heng's mouth widened in horror. He wanted to call for help, but he couldn't even make a sound. But, suddenly, he felt his waist tighten as if he was pulled by something. He was forcefully dragged back for some distance. Shangguan Heng finally let out a short exclamation. His body seemed to hit a wall. The pain almost made all his bones and muscles collapse. He looked back and saw a man dressed in black with a cold look. The man's appearance was not outstanding, but his body exuded a chilling bloody aura as if the person had experienced a bloodbath. Shangguan Heng was in shock. After realizing that he had been rescued, the injuries that he suppressed previously acted up in an instant. He spouted a mouthful of blood. A clear man's voice suddenly sounded, "Wah, Xian Wu, aren't you being too rough? You see, the prince is even vomiting blood now." Xian Wu? Which Xian Wu? Is it the Xian Wu, one of the 4 confidants of His Royal Highness King of Hell? When Shangguan Heng heard this man's words, he suddenly woke up, resisting the pain in his body and looking back at the person behind him. He saw a handsome white man standing beside the man in black. Shangguan Heng knew this man, and he often saw him in the King of Hell Mansion. This was Bai Hu, one of King of Hell's 4 confidants. Shangguan Heng was overjoyed. He coughed several times, ignoring the burning pain in his chest, and shouted at Bai Hu, "Senior Bai, help, help." The men in black clothes who were chasing Shangguan Heng saw that someone was helping him, and the person was extremely skilled. Their faces looked a bit unsightly. When they discovered that it was the man from King of Hell Mansion who tried to help, they immediately felt relieved. King of Hell had always had a good relationship with the Feng family. What's more, their master even saved King of Hell before. It was impossible for the people of the King of Hell Mansion to fight against the Feng family anyway. Therefore, the leader Black stepped forward and cupped his fist toward Bai Hu. "Protector Bai, I'm the disciple of the Feng family. We are acting in this Yanjing city by the order of young Master Yunjing. Next is the disciplines of the Feng family, acting in Yanjing city by the order of young Master Yunjing. This person in your hand is wanted by our young Master Yunjing, he is very important to us. Protector Bai, please make it convenient for us and hand him over. Bai Hu curled up his mouth and smiled, putting up a lacer look. He is already in front of me, and you want me to hand him out? This does not fit my Bai Hu's character. At least you have to tell me, your Feng family don't stay in Sangming Kingdom and come far away to our Jinling Kingdom to catch the 6th prince who is as cute as a white rabbit. What do you want to do? 6th Prince Shengguanheng, who was as cute as a little white rabbit, spat out another mouthful of blood. Then he endured the severe pain and said tremblingly, Senior Bai, please don't listen to their nonsense. Shengguanqi wants to incorporate the Zhenwei army, but Ouyang family did not rebel. My father feels ashamed for the tragic death of General Ouyang and his wife, so he isn't willing to change the ownership of the Zhenwei army. Who knows that Shengguanqi could not achieve his goal, and he actually colluded with the Feng family to bloodbath the palace. Now my father is in danger. Ouyang Haoshuan is also in danger. Ouyang Haoshuan. The Feng family agreed to form an alliance with Shengguanqi because they want to set up a trap in the Zhenwei army camp and wait for Ouyang Haoshuan to walk into the snare himself. I don't know why they are looking for Ouyang Haoshuan. They killed the General Ouyang and his wife and framed them as traitors in order to get something from Ouyang Haoshuan. Cough cough. Shengguanheng was seriously injured, his vision became blurred, and his voice was getting weaker and weaker. Royal Highness King of Hell, for the sake of our fellow Jinling Kingdom citizens, save my father, save Shengguan family. Before Shengguanheng finished speaking, he fainted to the ground. Bai Hu curled his lips, and thought in his mind, Gu Lufeng really guessed it right. This Feng family made such a huge fuss and stayed in Te Yanjing City for a few months and refused to leave. It turns out that they are really looking for Ouyang Haoshuan. But what do they want from Ouyang Haoshuan? Bai Hu was puzzled, so he couldn't help but smiled and asked, Hey, you Feng family, otherwise you tell me why your young master is so anxious to find Ouyang Haoshuan. Protector Bai, I advise you not to be nosy, this is not something you can know. The leader man in black had already turned his face at this time and said coldly, You better figure it out. We are of the Feng family. Even if it is His Royal Highness King of Hell, he has to bow to our Feng family. You'd better not make your own claim, it will break the relationship between our Feng family and King of Hell Mansion. If King of Hell put the blame on you, I'm afraid you can't afford to bear it. Bai Hu was immediately upset. Why are these arrogant guys boosting their ass? They actually dare to say that my master has to bow to their Feng family? Bow your ass. Just a mere Feng family, you really think you are worthy of it? He brushed his shirt, and said with a half-smile, Hee, since you said so, Lord Bai, is determined to be nosy here. The people of King of Hell Mansion had endured these cowards of the Feng family for a long time. Now that his master plan had been implemented, he finally didn't have to endure it. Since they deliver themselves to me, if I don't give them a lesson, wouldn't I suffer a loss? As Bai Hu said, he immediately took the unconscious Shengguanheng and took a step back, and he shouted, Ah Wu, let's go. I'll let you handle this group of trash. Xian Wu glanced at him coldly, then he waved his hand, the martial artists in dark steel armor rushed up behind him. The man in black did not expect that the people of King of Hell Mansion would actually fight just like that. They couldn't help but taking out their flying sword. However, these martial artists in black, who seemed to be wearing heavy armor, were faster and more powerful than they thought. Especially, they were a team of people who cooperated with each other and had a tacit understanding. Between their moves, there was even a profound formation. Among the disciplines of the Feng family, there was also a gold core stage martial artist and 2 peak of the meridian stage martial artists. Although the others were not as powerful as the 3 leaders, they also had the meridian stage cultivation. But at this time, when they met this group of martial artists who were also meridian stage, they actually couldn't fight back. In just a few moves, all of them were beheaded. All their actions were so clean and neat, they were never sloppy. Their only objective was to kill the enemy. This was the most elite army of King of Hell Mansion, Iron Kirin. Don't say that these were just a dozen Meridian stage martial artists and an early stage of the Gold Core martial artists. Even if they were facing a few Gold Core stage experts, they could use formation and cooperation to slowly kill the Gold Core stage experts to death. Bai Hu patted Xian Wu on the shoulder and couldn't help but admire. "Ah Wu, Iron Kirin is getting better and better under your training." TSK, the Feng family must have never imagined that our master will have such an army. In their mind, they thought that our King of Hell Mansion's army is also consisted of ordinary soldiers like the Jinwei army. Xian Wu glanced at him coldly again, like he was looking at an idiot. After that, he turned and left. The group of Iron Kirin who had just finished killing people immediately followed Xian Wu back into the King of Hell Mansion, completely ignoring the existence of Bai Hu. Bai Hu looked at the backs of Xian Wu and the Iron Kirin team, and he couldn't help but curl his lips in boredom. Wu is really getting boring. Afterward, he also picked up Shengguanheng, who had fainted, and quickly followed up. TSK, the cat and mouse game with the Feng family has finally begun. I'm already feeling excited to think about it. When Bai Hu brought Shengguanheng to the flower hall of the King of Hell Mansion, Xian Wu had already briefly reported what had just happened. When Bai Hu came in, both Nangong Yu and Heshi's eyes fell on Shengguanheng. Bai Hu quickly said, "This is the 6th Prince Shengguanheng." Heshi glanced at Shengguanheng who had fainted, and he felt a bit familiar. When she searched her memory, she quickly remembered it. Oh, it turns out to be the prince who followed the Zhu family to propose marriage when I was recalled back to the Nalan mansion for the first time. From his appearance at the time, it seems that he has a good relationship with Ouyang Haoshuan. But now it seems that his vitality is losing quickly. I'm afraid he can't live for long. Heshi stepped forward, took out a silver needle and stuck him a few times, and gave him a medicinal pill. Shengguanheng quickly woke up. Obviously, his aura now was much thicker than when he was just about to die. Bai Hu believed that he had long been used to seeing his princess' magical medical skills and methods. However, now that he saw it again, he still couldn't help being shocked. He carried Shengguanheng in himself, so he was clear about the serious injuries on Shengguanheng. He originally thought that his princess would at most wake the person up, ask him about the situation, and then let him die. Who knows, she just made a few simple treatments, and she had brought Shengguanheng from hell. This is too terrifying, right? Even Xian Wu, who had always been indifferent, couldn't help showing a look of shock. He couldn't help looking at Heshi frequently. Heshi didn't have time to take care of how surprised these two guys were. She awakened Shengguanheng, and she immediately asked, "How many people have the Feng family sent? What do they look like? What's their cultivation level? Without the commander's seal, how are they going to incorporate Jinwei army?" Shengguanheng hurriedly recounted his experience in the palace. Looking at the handsome face of Heshi's disguise, his heart moved. He couldn't help but say softly, You are the master of the Xingda Hall, miracle healer Shiyu?" Heshi did not pay attention to him, but she fell into deep thought instead. The gray cloth, the black cloak and the souls of the people who were killed were sucked away. "I think I probably know who the person is. It really is a small world." Shengguanheng saw her being silent, and he couldn't help but kneel and kowtow vigorously on the ground. "His Royal Highness King of Hell, miracle healer the Feng family members have invaded into the palace. I don't know how my father will end up. Please save my Shengguan family." Heshi frowned and said, "Where is the Jinwei army stationed? How far is it from Yanjing City?" Shengguanheng was a little lost looking at her. He didn't understand why she asked this suddenly. Instead, Xian Wu stepped forward and said, reporting to Prin. "Young Master Shi, the Jinwei army station position is a bit far from the Yanjing city. It takes one night to reach even with flying sword because you have to bypass the magical beast forest to reach the western outskirts where the army is stationed." Heshi's heart was moved. She looked at Xian Wu. "What if we go through the magical beast forest? 2 hours at most. Xian Wu was stunned before answering. A smile appeared at the corner of Heshi's mouth. She looked at Shangguanheng and said lightly, "We can go to the palace to save your father and Shangguan family, but I have one condition." "What conditions?" "Jinwei army will no longer belong to the Jinling kingdom from now on. No matter where the Jinwei army goes in the future, your Shangguan family can no longer bother about it." After Shangguanheng agreed to Heshi's condition and went down to recover in a trance and fear, Heshi was about to set off to the palace. She asked Ouyang Haoshuan, Bai Hu and Xian Wu to take some iron kirin to bypass the magical beast forest and rush to the camp where the Jinwei army was located. She went to the palace with Nan Gongyu to meet the old acquaintance, Black Law Protector first. After all, He Sha was a master of the nascent soul stage, and his techniques were weird. Except for Nan Gongyu, no one could really be his opponent. When the palace's matter was resolved, she and Nan Gongyu would go through the magical beast forest and directly arrived at the Jinwei army camp. Xian Wu didn't participate in the barbecue conference in the sealed dragon domain, so he didn't know about the matter of Jinwei army. At this moment, he couldn't help but wonder, "Master, why do we want to bother about the Jinwei army? Everyone knows that the Jinwei army is the private army of the Ouyang family. If there is no commander's seal and the bloodline of the Ouyang family, it is impossible to control the Jinwei army." That foolish prince, thinking that with the strong suppression of the Feng family and a few imperial decrees, Jinwei army can become his own private army, he is really dreaming. Just wait for it, he will only end up in a dead end. Bai Hu laughed and said, "I said Ah Wu, you don't know about that, right? Now this Jinwei army is not the private army of the Ouyang family, but it belongs to our princess now." "What? How is this possible?" This time, Xian Wu was completely shocked. 100,000 Jinwei army, although it is not comparable to the Iron Kirin, it is also the second largest army in the Jinling kingdom. That actually belongs to the princess. How is this possible? Bai Hu smiled even more complacently as if he had credit in it. "Don't you know what kind of person our princess is? How many impossibles has she done? General Ouyang gave Princess the commander's seal before he died. He promised to admit her as the new owner of the Jinwei army. What's more, General Ouyang's only son, Ouyang Haoshuan, even admitted Princess as his master. You tell me, isn't the Jinwei army belong to Princess? Should we take it back?" Xian Wu slowly closed his widened mouth. He said fiercely after a long time, "Yes. We must take it back. Since it belongs to Princess, it means it belongs to Master. Since it belongs to Master, how can the cowards of the Feng family take it? Take it back, I must take the Jinwei army back." Jinling Kingdom, in the palace. At this time, the night was dark, and the palace, which was supposed to be brightly lit, was dead silent. The air was full of bloody smells. Only the palace where the imperial study room was located was still brightly lit. It was just that around the palace, every entrance and exit was guarded by the Feng family's people, so that those who were locked inside couldn't get out. Shangguan Wenji was tied up by 1,000 years dark steel at this time. He was thrown to a corner. The face full of dust and bloodstain had faintly exuded a dark green lifelessness. However, his eyes were staring at the man in cloak not far away. His red eyes were full of hatred. He wished he could eat his flesh and bones. In the lobby not far away, the people who were tied were thrown to the ground. Some of these people were his children and concubines, some were palace guards, and some were eunuchs. Each of them was a martial artist with some cultivation, but now, their cultivation had become the cause of their death. He Sha leisurely sat alone on the emperor's throne with his legs crossed. And above him was a gray-black flag that was continuously draining souls from a twitching and dying martial artist on the ground. As the soul on his body was completely emptied, the martial artist rolled his eyes and completely turned into a corpse. As he lost his soul, he would not be able to reincarnate ever again. It was as if he had disappeared in this world like ashes. He Sha saw that this person's soul had been drained, and he immediately waved his hand, change another one. Immediately, a man in black came up with another young man in brocade and threw him to the ground. Don't kill me, don't kill me. I'm the 9th prince, Wu. Father, save me. Save me. However, the miserable cry and begging for mercy could not save his life. As his soul was sucked away, his body twitched like he was having a spasm, blood foam came out from his mouth, his eyes rolled up as he died. He Sha looked at the pure black soul refining flag above him, then he saw the ghost face slowly taking shape. He couldn't help but laugh, great. The purity of this soul is really good. It is even worthy of 5 guards. It seems that the children of the emperor is really different. Get me another prince, beast. You kill my wife and children, I fight to the death with you. Shangguan Wenji roared. The spiritual power of his whole body skyrocketed wildly. He actually broke free from the 1,000 years dark steel, and he pounced toward He Sha. I will perish together with you. He Sha didn't show the slightest panic on his face. His face was full of contempt as he saw Shangguan Wenji leaping over. Don't overreach yourself. As soon as he spoke, the ghost face that had just formed above him immediately rushed over. Shangguan Wenji condensed spiritual power and slammed his fist toward the ghost face, but he only felt a sharp pain in his arm and shoulder. Dash. Shangguan Wenji let out a scream, then he saw that his shoulders and arms were withering at a speed visible to the naked eye. They drooped down like a branch that had lost nourishment, he could no longer control them. In addition to the pain in his shoulder and arm, Shangguan Wenji also felt cold from his body as if his soul was drawn away. The ghost face that had bitten Shangguan Wenji became more solid again, and it quickly returned to He Sha. He Sha was overjoyed when he saw the recovery of the ghost face. He laughed wildly, Shangguan Wenji, I initially wanted to keep you alive so that you will be useful to me in the future. I didn't expect you to be so ignorant. Since you are so eager to become the nourishment of my ghost face, I will fulfill you. After finishing speaking, he commanded the ghost face above him and gave a low smile, Go, baby, he is gold core. He even has the weak dragon aura on him. His soul is a great tonic to you. Maybe if you devour it, you can almost recover. I'm still waiting for the day you are promoted to He Sha. The ghost face pounced at Shangguan Wenji under He Sha's command. It widened its pitch-black mouth. Shangguan Wenji was desperate, he closed his eyes sadly. However, the expected pain did not come, Shangguan Wenji only heard a bang in his ear. Then someone uttered a stern scream, but this scream was not from him. Shangguan Wenji opened his eyes in panic. A tall body somehow being thrown in front of him, blocking the ghost face. That person could only let out a scream, then his soul was devoured by the ghost face, he was unable to resist at all. Shangguan Wenji knew this person, but he wasn't his subordinate or children, he was from the Feng family. What exactly is going on? He Sha was also taken aback by this incident. When he saw the appearance of the man being sucked by the ghost face, he was suddenly furious. That turned out to be a martial artist with an advanced level of the gold core stage. He had a high status among the children of Feng family. However, he was easily subdued now, and he was thrown out and let the ghost face devour his soul. He Sha sternly shouted, Who is sneaking behind? Show yourself. People who dare to touch my Feng family people are looking for death. As soon as He Sha's voice sounded, a young man wearing a blue brocade slowly walking into the gate of the palace not far away. The young man's clothes were simple and without decoration, but when his beautiful and clear face appeared in front of people, it was as bright as the sun, attracting everyone's attention. As soon as the young man walked into the temple, he couldn't help kicking the man in black corpse whose soul had been drained. He couldn't help but shook his head and smiled, tsk, it's so pitiful, all his soul is being eaten up. Did he ever expect he would end up as such one day when he was catching people for you to feed the ghost face? It's you. He Sha's eyes lit up suddenly, then he seemed to burst into anger. I never expect you to show up yourself before I look for you. Ha ha ha, it's just right that my master and young master are looking for you. When I offer you to them, it will be a huge contribution. Last time, you had that old freak helping you. Let's see if you are so lucky this time to find another person to save you. As he said, he stretched out his hand and grabbed toward Heshi's throat with a dense black air lingering on it. However, the next moment, He Sha was surprised to find that Heshi had disappeared. There was also a sharp pain on his ghost hand. He Sha snorted and stepped back a few steps. He then raised his head and met Nan Gong-yu's cold face and eyes. His hands were behind his back, and his expression was as graceful and cold as he was strolling in a garden, but his words carried a killing intent. He Sha, who did you say you want to offer? He Sha's eyes widened suddenly, and he blurted out, Nan Gong-yu, why are you here? Nan Gong-yu looked at Heshi, who had just been pulled out of the danger by him, and he smiled faintly. My princess is here, so I'm of course here as well. Princess? He Sha exclaimed, who is your princess? His eyes fell on Heshi, and his voice became even more unbelievable. You're talking about Shiyu? Isn't he a man? Nan Gong-yu did not pay attention to his shock, but he looked at him coldly with a sharp gaze. Yu Feng family actually dares to have ill intention of my princess. You are really tired of living. As he said, he stretched out his hand and squeezed Heshi's little hand and chuckled softly. Sheer, you have dealt with those people outside just now, and now it's time for your husband to perform. Go and take a rest by the side. Nan Gong-yu's figure flickered after he spoke. He launched an attack at He Sha. Although He Sha was frightened and furious, he immediately raised the soul-refining flag and fought with Nan Gong-yu. Heshi couldn't help but smile when he thought of Nan Gong-yu's words. This man's words is getting more and more shameless recently. However, there was a touch of warmth in her heart. She knew Nan Gong-yu's strength, so she naturally didn't worry that he would lose to He Sha. Her strength was too far away from He Sha now, so she would only be a hindrance if she tried to help. So Heshi didn't bother with the two people who were fighting, but she turned and looked at Shangguan Wenji. Shangguan Wenji just realized that the people who came in were Shi Yu and Nan Gong-yu. He only felt like he had survived a desperate situation. His tears kept gushing out and blended with the bloodstain, making him look very unsightly. But thinking of his son, Shangguan Wenji quickly asked while choking, Mr. Shi, how is my son Shangguan Heng? Is he still alive? As soon as Shangguan Wenji said this, a beautiful woman beside him also showed anxious expression, staring at Heshi closely. Heshi glanced at the woman and guessed that she should be mother of 6th Prince concubine Zhu. Just looking at the enchanting and charming look of the woman made it really difficult to connect with Zhu Yichun and Zhu Zhongba. Heshi nodded and said, don't worry, Shangguan Heng is now in King of Hell Mansion. He is fine. Shangguan Wenji was overjoyed at once, but when he thought of what happened in Breaking Spirit Mountain, he was full of guilt and felt that he could not lift his head in front of this young man. Mr. Shi, I'm really sorry about the incident on Breaking Spirit Mountain. At first I wronged you. Later, I knew the truth. I knew that Ruier was killed by Feng Lianying. However, due to the power of Feng family, I dare not say anything. Our Shangguan family treats you that way. I didn't expect you to still come to save me today. Heshi interrupted him coldly, you don't have to apologize to me because there are conditions for me to save you. I have also negotiated this condition with your son Shangguan Heng. What conditions? Heshi smiled slightly and said in a deep voice, I want Jinwei army. How can this be? Shangguan Wenji exclaimed, but he immediately reacted. He shivered all over his body, then he said in a low voice, Mr. Shi, I'm not greedy for Jinwei army, but this Jinwei army is the private army of the Ouyang family. It cannot be mobilized without a commander's seal. Moreover, Jinwei army is the only thing left by the Ouyang family. I really hope that Ouyang Haoshuan will come back. This is the only thing I have left to compensate the Ouyang family. Shangguan Wenji's words eased Heshi's expression a lot. This old emperor doesn't seem to be as cold-blooded and ruthless on the surface, and he is really full of guilt for Ouyang family. Heshi pursed her lips. She slowly took out a commander's seal from her arm. She opened up her slender palm, and an ochre-red beast-shaped commander's seal was lying there. Ah dash! Shangguan Wenji exclaimed, Isn't this Xinwei army's commander's seal? Why is it in your hand? Heshi put away the commander's seal and said faintly, before General Ouyang died, I happened to be by his side, and he handed over the commander's seal to me. As for Ouyang Haoshuan, he has now rushed to the Xinwei army camp. Ouyang Haoshuan is still alive? Shangguan Wenji trembled with excitement. He is really alive. Great! It's so great! Shangguan Wenji only felt his heart that was eaten up by guilt could finally see the light again. He looked at the Black Law Protector who was fighting with Nan Gongyu, and his trembling children in the palace. He bit his teeth and said with a trembled, Okay, I'm willing to issue the imperial decree. As long as the person holding the commander's seal receives the Xinwei army, and Ouyang Haoshuan is still alive, then the Xinwei army will no longer belong to the Jinling kingdom, it no longer belongs to my Shangguan family. But please Mr. Shi and King of Hell, save my Shangguan family. Heshi smiled and said with a clear voice, Okay, deal. After speaking, she walked to Shangguan Wenji's side, held his intact hand, and slowly injected water spiritual power into him. As the spiritual power entered Shangguan Wenji's meridians, his physical condition was clearly presented to her. Shangguan Wenji's injuries were actually very serious, even his internal organs had suffered certain dislocation and damage. Especially his right hand, not to mention it turned dry and necrotic, but it also hindered the movement of the meridians throughout the body. If these meridians were blocked forever, then Shangguan Wenji's cultivation would go backward little by little, and his body would decline gradually until he ages like a mortal. Shangguan Wenji saw Heshi frowning slightly, and the little hope in his heart also turned into despair. He said in a low voice, Mr. Shi, you don't have to force yourself. I know my physical condition very well. I'm very happy to be able to hold until you to come and save my children. I have written the succession edict. Please pass it to Henger for me and ask him to protect the Jingling kingdom. Also, that impudent Shangguan Qi, he took the fake edict. By the time, he will definitely collude with the Feng family. Shut up. Heshi interrupted him impatiently, who said you will die? It's just a little bit of atrophy of the flesh and blood meridians. What is there to die? But even if it is cured, you can't use your hand that well and your cultivation can no longer be improved. Shangguan Wenji froze in place suddenly. The tears of despair were still on his face. His eyes widened stupidly at this time, looking indescribably ridiculous. Heshi picked up the silver needles and plunged into his acupuncture points quickly. With the influx of silver needles and vigorous water spiritual power, Shangguan Wenji only felt that her originally dried meridians and dantian seemed to be moisturized. He couldn't tell how comfortable was it. He stared blankly at the handsome young man in front of him. He looked only about 16 years old, but his eyes were so calm. When talking about medical skills and when applying needles, he was so calm, making him believe for no reason. As long as Shiyu was there, he could be saved. Young miracle healer, Shiyu. No wonder, so many people say that he is a genius once in a lifetime. No wonder, he can manage the Xingda Hall that even the Doctors Association and Feng family covet. After the acupuncture treatment, to ensure that Shangguan Wenji's meridians could run smoothly, Heshi threw a porcelain bottle to him. This is the 4th grade meridians cleansing pill. You take 1 pill a day, and your arm's blood and meridians will recover after 1 month. Although it isn't as flexible as before and you basically can't take weapons, but it is still fine to do daily chores. After that, she just let Shangguan Wenji be gratitude on his own. She turned and watched the battle between Nan Gongyu and He Sha. At this moment, the Feng family in this palace had been dealt with by them, only He Sha was left. And purple abyss vine had also covered the surroundings of the palace to prevent the news from spreading out and alerting the Feng family in Yanjing City. So He Shi and Nangongyu were more at ease. Especially Nangongyu's cultivation was much higher than He Sha, so when he was fighting with He Sha, he had a kind of laziness and leisure like playing cat and mouse. Such contempt caused He Sha's anger to rise a little bit, he was almost hysterical. On the other hand, Nangongyu was very leisure. He had a half-smile on his handsome face, and his every action was full of intoxicating charm. He Shi stared blankly at the man with a completely different appearance from the man she usually got along with, and she would never admit that her heart was beating constantly. No one in Miluo continent didn't know that King of Hell Nangongyu looked good, but how many people had seen him look so freaking handsome? How many women wouldn't be moved seeing such a man? Even the little guys in the void couldn't help but jump out, watching the man in battle obsessively. Little Egg held his small face with his paws and admired, "Daddy is so handsome. I want to be like Daddy to become a man of indomitable power." Little Golden Dragon also tooted, "Boss, your husband's potential and future are really limitless. Maybe his future achievements will be more terrifying than my former master." Before Little Golden Dragon had finished speaking, he heard a bang. He Sha was knocked heavily to the pillar. However, this light crash didn't hurt him, but Nangongyu's sloppy and playful attitude made his expression look extremely ugly. He got up from the ground, stared at Nangongyu fiercely, gritted his teeth and said, "Nangongyu, what do you mean? Are you really going to turn on the Feng family? Did you forget that the master of our Feng family saved your life before?" "Saved me?" Nangongyu sneered, "If you have a life to go back, you might as well help me ask Feng Tianba if he is my benefactor or my enemy. What exactly does Feng family owe me? You know." He Sha's expression changed all of a sudden, he almost exclaimed. Nangongyu raised his eyebrows, "Oh, you know it too. Then you don't have to go back and ask Feng Tianba. What's more, you don't have the life to go back. Nangongyu, do you really think I'm afraid of you?" He Sha's face was pale. He said with a gloomy face, "You and I are both at the nascent soul stage. I stepped into the nascent soul stage several decades earlier than you. You really think you can get an advantage under my skills? I didn't get serious with you just now because my ghost face has just recovered, so I can't bear to let it hurt again." After He Sha finished speaking, the ghost face that had been retrieved into the soul refining flag to digest the soul slowly rose up. Compared with the time when it bit Shangguan Wenji, the ghost face at this time had become a lot more solid. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly when it appeared, it sent a chill down everyone's spine. On the other hand, He Sha tore open the cloak, revealing the body without any clothes inside. It was just this body. As soon as people saw it, they couldn't help but scream in terror, they almost fainted. His whole body withered like a tree branch, and his whole body was enveloped in a black gas. There were countless ferocious ghost faces looming in the black gas as if they wanted to struggle out, and as if they wanted to swallow his body. Is this still a person? What kind of cultivation does this He Sha practice? Nangongyu was not surprised, but raised his eyebrows and said with a half-smiled, "Feng family still claims to be the righteous family, but all the people under them are characters like these. If I'm right, you should be cultivating evil technique, right? What's more, it is the most sinister soul-type evil technique. With your current cultivation, you should have at least taken the souls of tens of thousands of martial artists. Hehe, when did Feng family fall to the point of colluding with the people of the evil way? If this news is announced, can Feng family still gain a foothold in the Miluo continent and the Zhangming kingdom?" He Sha sneered, but he was not scared at all. He faintly glanced across everyone there. "It's a pity that all of you will die today. No one can live to tell my secrets." His sinister gaze stared at Nangongyu sternly and sneered, "Nangongyu, do you think you're so great just because you're called King of Hell? Aren't you just a dog of the Feng family? You really think you are someone important? Hehe, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of Master today, then I will bring you back to the Feng family. It's up to Master to deal with you. After speaking, the soul-refining flag in his hands suddenly became larger, the sky was shaking constantly. As his flag shook, the evil spirits possessed him rushed out one by one. In the palace that was originally brightly lit, it was instantly enveloped by an evil chi. The people present suddenly seemed to be in hell. Those who had cultivation shivered, and their faces were pale. Those who didn't have cultivation could not withstand the erosion of the gruesome ghost chi and passed out into a coma. These ghosts were the most hostile part of the souls eaten by the ghost face, especially those souls, who were tortured to death by He Sha, were more gruesome and violent. They were even intolerable to the martial artist with cultivation. The evil spirits flew through the crowd, making everyone scream, but they couldn't escape. And the ghost face became bigger after the evil spirits rushed out, charging straight at Nangongyu. The only ones in this palace that were not affected were Heshi and the others. For some reason, when a group of evil spirits rushed toward Heshi, it seemed that there was something around Heshi that made them extremely scared. They just circled around and fled in a hurry. Heshi originally even cast out the Li Shui sword. Li Shui sword could be enchanted with fire's spiritual power. It was the best weapon for killing ghosts. However, she was shocked to find that these evil spirits seemed to be greatly frightened when they got near her. They fled hurriedly. Little Egg seemed to be very interested in these evil spirits and wanted to catch them, scaring them to run faster. Heshi's action was still quick. She grabbed Little Egg back in an instant. Heshi lowered her head and met the big shiny eyes of Little Egg. The little guy pursed his lips. "Mom, why don't you let Little Egg catch those ghosts? Auntie Little Purple likes these the most, she will definitely like it." Little Egg's words reminded Heshi. She immediately released the original body of Purple Abyss Vine. As soon as the main vine of Purple Abyss Vine appeared in the palace, the branches and leaves trembled with excitement when they felt the strong ghost spirits inside. This time, it couldn't wait for Heshi to issue an order before rushing out, jumping straight at the evil spirits. Those evil spirits that were scared by Heshi and the others were now even more miserable. As long as the evil spirit was caught by Purple Abyss Vine, they were all absorbed, not a single one escaped. In the blink of an eye, the originally noisy palace due to the evil spirits was cleaned up by the purple vines, then it remained calm again. It was just that He Sha released these evil spirits, not to deal with Heshi, but to empower the strength of the ghost face and let it deal with Nangongyu. As long as Nangongyu was dead, could he, a master of nascent soul stage, not be able to deal with those nobodies? So He Sha didn't care about the evil spirits at Heshi's side at all. He just commanded the ghost face to firmly entangle Nangongyu. The huge ghost face in front of Nangongyu suddenly split into countless ghosts. Those ghosts were different from those around Heshi. Each one was staring with sharp and cold fangs in the wide-open mouth. As soon as this group of ghosts appeared, they surrounded Nangongyu. All the little ghosts opened their mouths full of fangs and bit Nangongyu hard. These little ghosts couldn't chew human flesh and blood, but they could destroy and devour the soul. Once the soul disappeared, the body would naturally wither. He Sha saw that Nangongyu was surrounded by his ghosts, and he burst into laughter. "Nangongyu, how does it feel to be eaten by my ghosts? Weren't you very arrogant just now? Weren't you powerful? Aren't you still not the opponent of my little ghosts now? Ha ha ha, don't think that these little ghosts were nothing. If there were thousands of such ghosts, the result would be different. This is the same reason as ants kill elephant." However, He Sha only laughed halfway, then the laughter stopped abruptly. He widened his eyes and watched Nangongyu, who had been swallowed by the kid, suddenly emitted a layer of black gas. This layer of black energy was like ink, which was much thicker than that on He Sha's body. It was even darker than the ghost face in the peak period. As soon as the little ghosts that had surrounded Nangongyu encountered this layer of black gas, they immediately let out a horrible scream. They fled hurriedly one by one. But no matter how they struggled, the black gas was like a muddy puddle, causing them to sink in. They had no way to escape. He Sha saw his thousands of little ghosts being devoured by Nangong-yu's black gas without any resistance, and the horror and fear in his heart could not be described in words. Black spiritual power, that is actually dark spiritual power. How is it possible? How can there really be dark spiritual power in this world? Feng Lianying brought shame on himself in the Breaking Spirit Mountain, so as soon as he returned to the Feng family, she was locked up. Feng Tianba and the elders of the clan didn't even want to see her. Nie Jinchen did the same too. Therefore, the Feng family people still didn't know that Nangong-yu had dark spiritual power. For thousands of years, there had never been a person with true dark spiritual power in the Miluo continent. No, there wasn't even any dark magical beast or demonic plant. Therefore, He Sha's shock at this time could be imagined. Originally, he didn't put Nangong-yu in his eyes, but at this moment, this young man in his early 20s became a more terrifying existence than the Hell Shura. He Sha woke up abruptly. He was that he couldn't even stand still due to fear. His spiritual power and cultivation were maintained by the souls of sacrifice. At this time, the souls in the ghost face were swallowed by Nangong-yu, and the evil spirits were also eaten by Little Purple. He actually felt the coldness and fear of having his vitality being emptied. He Sha hurriedly shook the soul-refining flag, trying to take all the evil spirits back. However, by this moment, it was too late. Nangong-yu's dark spiritual power was too overbearing. Almost none of the little ghosts caught in his body could survive. In other words, He Sha's ghost face was completely swallowed by Nangong-yu. Coupled with the devouring speed of purple abyss vines, countless vines, even the evil spirits released from He Sha's body were almost swallowed. He Sha looked panicked. He was waving the soul-refining flag frantically. Chapter 8:18. You know it too late. However, the soul-refining flag that was condensed by black gas became more and more blurred. In the end, because there was not enough souls to support, it suddenly shattered into powder. He Sha looked at the soul-refining flag disappearing in his hands, and he was stunned. How many years did I spend, how many people did I kill, and I even let my body be devoured by ghosts, to create such a magic weapon that made me invincible? Now it's ruined, it's all ruined. My cultivation will never reach its heyday. Even if I cultivate another soul-refining flag again, I can't use my broken body to hold the souls to condense into the ghost face. And all this is caused by Nangong-yu. When He Sha thought of this, he went into madness. Nangong-yu, I will go all out with you. He yelled at Nangong-yu, and he even didn't hesitate to explode his nascent soul. I'm at the nascent soul stage, and Nangong-yu is also at the nascent soul stage. As long as I perish together with Nangong-yu, I can eliminate this hidden danger for the Feng family. This Nangong-yu, with dark spiritual power, is simply terrifying. If I let this enemy live and keep growing, one day he will bring devastating disaster to the Feng family. He felt a powerful suffocating force brewing in the palace, as if it was about to explode at any time. As soon as she turned her head, she saw He Sha yelling at Nangong-yu, and his dantian faintly emitted a strange light. That is, nascent soul self-explosion. Heshi's face changed suddenly. She almost shouted instinctively, Nangong-yu, be careful. He Sha saw Nangong-yu retreating very quickly, thinking that he realized that he was going to blow up his nascent soul and was scared. He laughed suddenly. Nangong-yu, you still want to escape? It's too late. Now you die with me. He rushed to Nangong-yu frantically with a disheveled hair. However, at this time, Nangong-yu slowly raised his mouth, looked at him with a bit of contempt, and said leisurely, Want me to die with you? Are you worthy? He Sha was stunned abruptly. At next moment, he felt something held the nascent soul that was about to explode. He was invaded by the familiar and yet unfamiliar dark spiritual power, easily preventing nascent soul from self-exploding. The dark spiritual power that could absorb all power and contain all spiritual power. That was almost an overpowered existence. However, the prerequisite for containing spiritual power was that the martial artist's cultivation must be at least one realm higher than his opponent's cultivation. He Sha felt that powerful force firmly controlled his dantian and nascent soul, tightening a little bit and eroding his vitality and cultivation bit by bit. His eyes widened in horror. He said in disbelief, You are not nascent soul, you are soul splitting. Nangong Yu chuckled, good eyesight, but unfortunately, you know it too late. As soon as he spoke, the dark spiritual power suddenly tightened. He Sha let out a desperate scream and fell unwillingly to the ground. He hurried over, pulled Nangong Yu's sleeve, and said nervously, he just now wanted to blue his nascent soul, how are you? Are you injured? Nangong Yu was startled at once. He seldom saw He panicking, but He's eyes were full of worry at this time. Her hands that were holding his hands were even trembling, they were full of cold sweat. One could imagine how worried and scared she was, and all this was for herself. Chapter 8:19. The heart to Cove. Nangong Yu's face suddenly burst into a brilliant smile, and the corners of his eyebrows and eyes were almost full of joy and happiness. He stretched out his hand and hugged the girl's soft body into his arms, bowed his head and kissed her eyebrows. He then said happily, Sheer, you are so worried about me. I'm so happy. She realized that he was really fine and not injured, and she was relieved. This time, instead of being prideful, she stretched out her hand to hug him. She whispered softly, Nangong Yu, I'm very worried about you, so please protect yourself from injury. Nangong Yu's body trembled, only feeling the turbulent sweetness in his heart that he could hardly bear. He hugged the person in his arms tighter, and said softly, Okay, Sheer, I will protect you and myself. She hugged him for a moment, but she raised her head and solemnly said, Nangong Yu, I don't want to be a canary protected by you. I want to be an eagle that can fly in the sky with you. Nangong Yu's body stiffened. A seemingly flawless smile appeared on his face. Sheer, I just want to protect you from harm, I will not stop you from doing what you want to do. Novels today. He squinted and looked at him with a half-smile, since you won't stop me from doing what I want to do, why you can kill He Sha in the first place, but you delay it for so long. The smile on Nangong Yu's face suddenly became a little guilty. He coughed and said while looking away, Sheer, what are you talking about? He pointed at his chest and said with annoyance, You delay so much time because you don't want me to go to the Jinwei army camp to conquer the 100,000 Jinwei army with Ouyang Haoshuan, don't you? When He mentioned Ouyang Haoshuan, Nangong Yu immediately said with a cold face, Sheer, that Ouyang Haoshuan must have ill intention. He tries to shamelessly stay by your side, and he even wanted you to take over the Jinwei army with him. He obviously is looking for a chance to be alone with you. He looked helpless. She couldn't help but laugh. Nangong Yu, what are you talking about? Ouyang Haoshuan just wanted to thank me for saving his life. Not to mention, when he knew me, I had always been disguising myself as a man. Moreover, now the Jinwei army's commander's seal is still in my hand, if I don't rush over, he is likely to be in trouble. You just wanted to say that he has no other intention. Nangong Yu gritted his teeth, you obviously gave him the commander's seal, and I even sent Bai Hu and Xian Wu to go him with, so there is no problem in taking over the Jinwei army. But he just wanted you to keep the commander's seal. Isn't that because he wants to be with you? Halfway through, Nangong Yu did not continue. Forget it, anyway, Sheer doesn't have any thoughts about that kid, and she doesn't realize his thoughts, so why should I make it so clear to let that kid have the opportunity? Nangong Yu gritted his teeth and thought. It seems that the best way is to marry Sheer back as soon as possible. At that time, I'll see if they still dare to have the heart to covet my princess. Thinking of this, Nangong Yu sighed and brought her person into his arms. Well, who asked you to be the only woman I love? I can't argue with you, so I will just take you to the Jinwei army camp together. A smile suddenly appeared on He's face. Seeing that he was still unwilling, he seemed to be full of grievances. Her heart throbbed for a while. She couldn't help but stand on tiptoe and kissed on the corner of his lips. Nan Gongyu was stunned, his whole body became abnormally stiff. Chapter 820, Jinwei Army Camp. He was already flushed. She let go of him, collected the 4 little ones into the void, and quickly walked outside the palace. Nan Gongyu was stunned for a long time before regaining his senses and touching the corner of his mouth. There was no depressed expression on his face, and he followed up delightedly. Humph, who cares about Ouyang Haoshuan? She only has me in his heart. Nan Gongyu only felt refreshed at this time, and his heart was almost bubbling with joy. Not to mention that He just wanted to travel through the magical beast forest to conquer the Jinwei army. Even if his little girl wanted the moon in the sky, he would find a way to get it. At the foot of Longhu Mountain on the western border of Jinling Kingdom, the light of the early morning had just shone on this land. At the foot of Longhu Mountain, countless camps were densely packed. As the early morning approached, the well-dressed soldiers from these camps walked out. Each of them didn't have high cultivation, the strongest was only the foundation establishment stage, and many of them were mortals. But their gestures were filled with the solemnity and ruthlessness of soldiers. They faintly exuded a hint of bloodlust from their bodies. They were obviously a veteran who had experienced many battles. This was the Jinwei army brought out by Ouyang Zhixiong and the founder of Jinling Kingdom. Jinwei army went from the original 200,000 to the current 100,000 soldiers after many desperate battles, but every one of them were elites who had experienced many battles. At this time, 100,000 Jinwei army were lining up, holding halberds with a solemn look. Standing in front of them was the deputy general of Jinwei army and the faithful confidant of Ouyang Zhixiong, Chen Guang. Chen Guang looked like about 40 years old. He had the meridian's stage cultivation. He always looked gentle and generous. He was affectionately called as Big Brother Chen by soldiers and generals in the Jinwei army. But at this time, the Big Brother Chen's face was not half gentle, but it looked hideous. His fierce eyes exuded a cold killing intent. He used his dantian to channel the spiritual power through his whole body, and his low voice spread throughout the Jinwei army. I believe everyone already knows that our General Ouyang, was murdered in Breaking Spirit Mountain. The general's only son is also missing. In Yanjing City, no. The entire Jinling Kingdom knows who killed General Ouyang and who is pursuing the son of General Ouyang. Chen Guang's voice immediately became even more indignant. General Ouyang is our commander and the object of allegiance to all of us. But now he and his wife have been killed alive. Should we avenge him? Should. Even if we have to die for it. We have to avenge General Ouyang even if we have to die. Hundreds of thousands of people shouted in unison. It was almost earth-shaking, as if even the entire Dragon Tiger Mountain was shaking. Chen Guang opened his eyes and gritted his teeth. Then do you know who our enemy is? It's Feng family. It's Feng family, echoed between heaven and earth, and it was this Feng family that made everyone's eyes burst into deep hatred. Chen Guang nodded his head and said in hatred, it's Feng family. It was obviously Feng Yunjing, the beast who abused and killed General Ouyang and his wife in the Breaking Spirit Mountain, but because he was a member of Feng family and the young master of Feng family, our Jinling Kingdom can't do anything to the Feng family. So, he killed General Ouyang and his wife, but nothing happened. On the contrary, our general was framed as a traitor, our young master is still being hunted down. Chapter 821, Jinwei Army's Determination. The Feng family is worse than animals. We must avenge the general and save young master from danger. Chen Guang let out a sigh of relief and shook his head. However, the strength of Feng family is too strong, let alone Feng Yunjing is the nascent soul stage. If there are a few more gold core stages, our 100,000 soldiers can only become the ants in their hands. Needless to say, revenge, we will all die in the hands of the Feng family by the time. Chen Guang's words were pessimistic, but they were true. In this world of comprehension where the strong were respected, ordinary troops were like ants in the eyes of high-rank martial artists. The soldiers underneath all showed grief and pain, and many people couldn't help having red eyes. Chen Guang suddenly raised his head and shouted loudly, "However, no matter how strong the Feng family is, we will never give up revenge for General Ouyang. Therefore, we must work hard to strengthen training. For those who have cultivation, speed up the improvement of your strength." Someone below couldn't help but speak, "But Deputy General Chen, no matter how we improve ourselves, how can we compete with the Feng family?" Chen Guang gritted his teeth and sneered, "We can't compete with the Feng family, but our Jinling kingdom has an army that can make the Feng family be scrupulous." "Does General mean the Iron Kirin of the King of Hell Mansion?" "Exactly." Chen Guang clenched his fists and waved fiercely. "When we improve the strength, I will kneel in front of the King of Hell Mansion and beg King of Hell to incorporate our Jinwei army. As long as he can avenge for our General Ouyang, we are willing to submit to the King of Hell Mansion." Ah! Chen Guang's decision made the soldiers below all be surprised. Although their Jinwei army had always known that they were very different from the Iron Kirin of the King of Hell Mansion, they couldn't be compared at all. However, the Jinwei army had always belonged to General Ouyang, but now they had to recognize others as the master. Such a gap caused misery and panic in their hearts. Chen Guang was not willing to let the old general's private army become someone else's subordinates, but this was the only way to avenge the general and save the young master from danger. Chen Guang took a deep breath and slowly said, "You needn't say much. I have made up my mind. As long as we can avenge the general and save the young master from the Feng family, we are willing to recognize anyone as our master. Now, go back to your place and train well. Even if you want to submit to the King of Hell Mansion, you must not let the people of King of Hell Mansion look down on us." "Did you hear me?" "Yes, General Chen." The 100,000 armies immediately dispersed, and each formed a square formation to start training their battlefield combat abilities. The little sergeants of the Foundation establishment stage returned to the camp with a spirit-gathering circle and devoted themselves to cultivate. 100,000 Jinwei army obviously lost their general, but instead of being decadent, it showed a scene of enthusiasm and unity. When the Crown Prince and others rushed to the foot of Dragon Tiger Mountain through the frosty night, they saw this scene. The Crown Prince was startled by shouting, "Ha!" and "Kill!" in unison. But when he saw the dense and imposing army clearly, infinite greed and excitement surged in his heart. "This is 100,000 Jinwei army. This 100,000 army will become my army soon, my power. Coupled with the imperial decree written by Shengguan Wenji himself, I will soon become the master of the Jinling kingdom." Chapter 822, Imperial Decree. Hahaha. "When I become the emperor, I will all my obnoxious brothers and sisters immediately, and then let the Feng family restrain Nangongyu. At that time, the entire Jinling kingdom will be mine. I can do whatever I want." The Crown Prince landed steadily from the air to the ground, and he took the cloth towel from the eunuch on the side to wipe the dust off his face. This eunuch was the one who had been serving next to Shengguan Wenji, but he had already defected to the Crown Prince and the Empress. When Shengguan Qi forced Shengguan Wenji to write an abdication edict, Shengguan Wenji originally refused to write it, and he refused to tell the location of the imperial jade seal. It was the eunuch who knew Shengguan Wenji best. Not only did he tell Shengguan Qi to use his beloved concubine and his daughter to force him, but he also got the hidden imperial jade seal. So after Shengguan Qi got the 2 imperial decrees and came out of the palace, he brought along the eunuch. Behind Shengguan Qi, there were also a dozen martial artists raised by his crown prince's residence, most of whom were at the Foundation establishment stage. The lowly eunuch leaned to Shengguan Qi's side and said with a pleased smile, "Your Highness Crown Prince, why not I pass the imperial decrees for you now?" Shengguan Qi was very pleased with him, his face was full of triumph. However, before he could speak, Chen Guang rushed over when he noticed a movement here. Seeing that it was Crown Prince Shengguan Qi and his men, he couldn't help frowning. But there was a difference between the ruler and the subordinates. He muttered in his heart, but he still bowed slightly and said, "Greetings to your Highness Crown Prince, may I know why are you here?" Shen Guanqi was dissatisfied with Chen Guang's attitude. Although he was saying respectful words, his attitude and manner of saluting him were very perfunctory, as if he didn't care about him at all. Shen Guanqi squinted his eyes and said coldly, "I came here on the imperial decree of the emperor. General Chen, please gather the whole army, saying that I have important things to announce." Chen Guang frowned suspiciously. "May I know what are the important things that your highness crown prince has to come in person?" Shen Guanqi's face sank when he heard the words, "Chen Guang, you are too presumptuous. Is this what you should ask? I let you assemble the whole army, then you just do it obediently." The eunuch beside him also took a step forward at the right time, took out the imperial decree and said with a sharp voice, "Deputy General Chen, the emperor decree is here, is it that you want to go against it?" Chen Guang's face changed uncertainly. He did not have the slightest good impression of the Jinling Kingdom's royal family. Although Feng family was so powerful, Jinling Kingdom did not dare to resist. His general was a loyal general who made great contributions to the Jinling Kingdom. He was abused to death by the Feng family. Instead of questioning their crime, they even said that the Ouyang family was the traitor. Swore allegiance to such a royal family would only make people feel disappointed. But after all, Chen Guang had been a subordinate of the Jinling Kingdom for decades. The way of the ruler and the subordinators was carved into his bones and couldn't easily be changed. So soon, the 100,000 army was assembled again. The crown prince and Chen Guang stood on the hill again. Everyone raised their heads and looked up at them with doubts on their faces. When an army of 100,000 was assembled, their momentum seemed to be 100 times stronger than when they dispersed. Shen Guanqi looked at the dense crowd underneath, and his heart blossomed with joy. "This army will soon be mine." The crown prince hinted the eunuch on the side, and the eunuch immediately stepped forward, spread the imperial decree, and said in a sharp voice, "Following the orders of the heaven, the emperor's edict said, in the past, the 100,000 Jinwei army, that led by Ouyang Zhixiong, is brave and fierce. They protect the kingdom from the enemies outside, becoming the pillar of the Jinling Kingdom." However, Ouyang Zhixiong suddenly conspired to treason, and the crime is unforgivable. Although I can't bear it, I have no choice but to punish the traitor. Now Ouyang Zhixiong is dead, the 100,000 Jinwei army has no leader, so I named my son, Shen Guanqi, as the new general of the Jinwei army. He will have full authority of handling the reorganization of the Jinwei army. The eunuch's voice was sharp as if it was torturing their eardrums. After reading this imperial decree, the expressions of Chen Guang and Shirwan Jinwei army changed drastically. Everyone had an incredibly sad look on their faces, staring fiercely at the eunuch and his imperial decree. After the eunuch finished reading, Chen Guang finally couldn't help but stepped forward and smashed the eunuch's face with a heavy punch. The eunuch was caught off guard. He screamed in pain, and he rolled down from the mountain like a spinning top. However, before the eunuch stood up, the soldiers standing in the front row angrily rushed over and severely chopped down at him with the swords in their hands. Blood splattered. In the blink of an eye, the eunuch who dreamed that he was going to rise to the top became a bloody corpse. By the time he died, he didn't even think about it. "I obviously should have enjoyed happiness after all the hardships. I will have enormous power in the future. Why would I end up like this?" Shen Guanqi didn't expect such a thing to happen at all. The guards behind him didn't expect it either. They were stunned on the spot and speechless. When he recovered, he immediately pointed at Chen Guangda and cursed, "Chen Guang, what are you doing? Do you guys want to act against the imperial decree and commit treason?" "You said we commit treason." Chen Guang's eyes were red, and he stared at Shen Guanqi fiercely, saying sternly, "Then treat us as committing treason. Anyway, General Ouyang has been loyal to your family throughout his life. Wasn't he still being condemned for betraying the kingdom by you guys?" As soon as Chen Guang spoke, the whole valley was shaking by it. "Treason it is then, will I be afraid of you? We want to seek justice for General Ouyang. That damn eunuch deserved to die. Everyone who insults General Ouyang deserves to die." Shang Guanqi never expected that he rushed to the barracks with great ambition, but what he got was such a result. What is going on in the Jinwei army? Do they really only recognize Ouyang Zhixiong and not the royal family? Damn, I knew we should have controlled the power of the Ouyang family, but that damn old fool, Shangguan Wenji, wouldn't listen to me. The rage of 100,000 people was terrifying. In addition, Shangguanqi's cultivation was not high. As the powerful murderous intent was released, he couldn't even stand still. Shangguanqi took a deep breath, he immediately put a smile on his face, and said with a gentle tone, General Chen, don't get angry. The imperial edict is just a situation. General Ouyang is a loyal minister and good general. Huan Jinling Kingdom doesn't know that. However, you have to understand the hardships of me and my father. The Feng family forces us tightly, and they are still hunting Ouyang Haoshuan in the city now. In order to find Ouyang Haoshuan, they even wanted to come and destroy your entire Jinwei army. My father and I made such a plan because we want to protect the Jinwei army. To be incorporated and disbanded, isn't it better than being destroyed by the Feng family? Don't you think so? Even if General Ouyang knew about it, he wouldn't want his army to end up like this, right? The remarks of Prince Shangguanqi had used the stick and the carrot, finally calming the emotion of Chen Guang and the soldiers. But Chen Guang still showed a cold face, not giving a good face to the crown prince. He said coldly, I'm sorry, I'm afraid we can't follow this decree of crown prince and the emperor. Chapter 824, Simply Dreaming. Chen Guang, what do you mean? I have tried my best to persuade you, yet you are still so stubborn. Chen Guang sneered and said with a calm expression, when the Jinwei army was founded, His Majesty had promised that the Jinwei army belongs to the Ouyang family, and only people of the Ouyang family can make decisions about the Jinwei army. Did His Majesty think that he could erase the previous promise with just an imperial decree? Don't forget, the emperor needs to take his words seriously. When Shangguanqi heard this, he didn't get angry this time. Instead, he laughed and said, You said that the people of the Ouyang family can make decisions about the Jinwei army? Then why don't you look at this person? With that, Shangguanqi pulled out a man in black armor and helmet from behind. After being pulled out, the man immediately took off his helmet in a frantic manner, revealing a slightly pale face that resembled the face of Ouyang Zhixiong. Shangguanqi pointed at the man proudly and smiled, General Chen should know this person, right? He is the younger brother of Ouyang Zhixiong, Ouyang Zhiping. This is the real descendant of the Ouyang family. He shares the same father with Ouyang Zhixiong. With such a strong blood relationship, he can represent the Ouyang family, right? Ouyang Zhiping raised his head to meet Chen Guang's fierce and cold gaze, and his whole body shuddered. But thinking of the horror of the man in black of the Feng family and the promise he made with him, Ouyang Zhiping gritted his teeth, stepped forward and said, Deputy General Chen, I have also received the news of the death of my brother. I'm also very sad about his death, but there must be a leader to lead the Jinwei army. His Majesty and Crown Prince are just hoping to find a way for the Jinwei army. I'm here to take over the military power of the Jinwei army on behalf of the Ouyang family. Chen Guang looked at Ouyang Zhixiong coldly, his eyes were like a sharp blade. Ouyang Zhixiong trembled seeing this. He then immediately remembered their allegiance to the Ouyang family, and he immediately became annoyed and said, Deputy General Chen, what do you mean by looking at me this way? Do you have any questions about me taking over the Jinwei army? I have a decree, and I'm the closest person to the Ouyang family and my elder brother, so I have the reason to take over Jinwei army. Or Deputy General Chen thinks that without my elder brother, you can take the opportunity to seize power. Chen Guang was not irritated by his provocative words, but he stretched out his hand, You want the military power of the Jinwei army? You can. Show me the commander's seal for verification first. What commander's seal? Ouyang Zhiping froze at first, then he immediately rebutted loudly, I'm from the Ouyang family, you are the army of the Ouyang family, now my elder brother is dead, Haoshuan's whereabouts is unknown, so I have the rights to take over the Jinwei army. What commander's seal? How come I have never heard of the commander's seal when my elder brother was in charge? Chen Guang showed a mocking smile hearing that. You don't even know the commander's seal of the Jinwei army, then you come to take over the Jinwei army. You're basically dreaming. I tell you that if you want to incorporate the Jinwei army, you must show the commander's seal and be recognized by the direct blood of the Ouyang family. Without the commander's seal, we will never accept it. We will not recognize any imperial decree or general's brother. Chen Guang, you're going back on your words. This is simply too much. Shang Guanqi said angrily. You said that people from the Ouyang family can mobilize the Jinwei army, so I found one for you. Now you are asking for the commander's seal. When General Ouyang died, there was nothing on him. The commander's seal on him was long gone. Is it that without the commander's seal, you all will never accept another general? Chapter 825, Kill them all. You have to know that the Jinwei army is the army of Jinling Kingdom, and your master is the royal family. How can you deny just like that? Chen Guang looked stubborn with arms around his chest. He said coldly, I only have one answer. Without the commander's seal, without the direct descendant of the Ouyang family, our Jinwei army will never recognize any master. His Majesty promised himself that the Jinwei army belongs to the Ouyang family. Our purpose is to defend the people of Jinling Kingdom, not the royal family. Even if your highness kills me and all our Jinwei army soldiers, the answer is still the same. Shang Guanqi's whole body was trembling constantly by his words. This Chen Guang, damn it. Damn it. When I successfully incorporate the Jinwei army, I must let this bastard die horribly. Suddenly, another masked man among the guards behind him took a step forward and said coldly, Shang Guanqi, since they are disobedient, just beat them up until they are obedient, why bother to talk nonsense with them? Shang Guanqi turned his head and met the pair of triangular eyes that were shining with cold light. He shuddered and immediately bowed and said, Hall Master's son, Chen Guang and his men are as stubborn as Ouyang Zhixiong, extremely stubborn. I'm afraid if I'll kill all of them, then wouldn't the 100,000 Jinwei army, no. I mean, without the Jinwei army, Hall Master's son can't bait Ouyang Haoshuan out. The masked man was named Sun Mingyuan, who was specially sent by He Sha to follow Shang Guanqi to incorporate the Jinwei army. In addition to the family master and elders, the Feng family had many forces that had been cultivated for many years. They were all loyal to the Feng family. Novels today among them, the strongest were the Black and White Law Protectors and the Four Hall Masters. Sun Mingyuan was one of the Four Hall Masters. He had the cultivation of the peak of the Gold Core stage. One could even say that he was just halfway into the nascent soul stage. Therefore, for the entire Jinling Kingdom, what Shangguan family, what General Ouyang, what Jinwei army, he wouldn't be bothered by them at all. The only things Feng family valued were Ouyang Haoshuan and the fire element spirit pearl in his body. In order to secure the fire element spirit pearl, Feng family not only dispatched Black Law Protector, but they also dispatched 2 hall masters to carry out a carpet search in the Jinling Kingdom. However, after searching for a month, they still could not find Ouyang Haoshuan at all. He seemed to have vanished. So in the end, they came up with such a way to draw Ouyang Haoshuan out by incorporating and even massacring the Jinwei army. Hearing what Shang Guanqi said, Sun Mingyuan sneered and said with disdain, they are just 100,000 mere mortals like rubbish. If they are really stubborn, just kill them all. Ouyang Haoshuan is destined to be in our hands. Is it that they can escape from our hands? Or is it that your highness feels pity for the 100,000 army and wants to stop me? No. I don't dare. Shang Guanqi broke into cold sweats being stared at by Sun Mingyuan's cold triangular eyes, and he kept shaking his head repeatedly. Sun Mingyuan strode forward, tore the black cloth off his face, and looked at Chen Guang and the 100,000 Jinwei army underneath. From the moment he appeared, Chen Guang felt like he was facing a formidable enemy. Who are you? Sun Mingyuan laughed, and the powerful gold core stage coercion spread from his body. Chen Guang only felt that the blood in his whole body was compressed by a powerful force. His legs trembled and his chest was suffocating. He couldn't hold it anymore, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 826. Avenge for General Ouyang. Chen Guang of Meridian Stage couldn't stand it, let alone the soldiers below. Especially the soldiers standing in the front row facing the coercion, many of them vomited blood, some even fainted directly. Sun Mingyuan leisurely withdrew the pressure and looked at Chen Guang contemptuously. If you are sensible, immediately accept the incorporation of His Highness, otherwise, the Hall Master, don't mind killing you all one by one. Chen Guang clutched his burning chest and asked fiercely, who are you? Ha ha ha, Sun Mingyuan laughed again, such a lowly person like you deserve to know my Hall Master identity? You should know that 100,000 of you are now the fishes on the cutting board. If you can bait Ouyang Haoshuan out, it's fine. I can spare your life. If you can't bait Ouyang Haoshuan out, then you all should die. Bait Ouyang Haoshuan out? Chen Guang's eyes widened suddenly, then his face changed drastically. He exclaimed, you're the Feng family's people. So what if I am? Sun Mingyuan narrowed his eyes and sneered. We Feng family have never failed in doing what we want and getting what we want. If your General Ouyang was smart, he wouldn't end up as such. If you are sensible, be obedient and be the bait to lure Ouyang Haoshuan out, you're dreaming. Chen Guang didn't wait for him to finish, and rushed toward him crazily, you bunch of animals, murdering General Ouyang and his wife. Now, I want you all to pay with your life. At the same time, the hundreds of soldiers below also charged together. The other soldiers who could not rush up because the mountain was too small also raised their weapons and shouted, kill them and avenge General Ouyang. Shen Guanqi was terrified by such movement. He was not Sun Mingyuan who was at the gold core stage. No matter how many ordinary people there were, they were no match for him. He was just a mere meridian stage, and he didn't have particularly powerful martial arts. If he was surrounded by this group of people, even if all of them took a bite, he could be bitten to death. Shen Guanqi hurriedly backed away with his guards. During the period, because of being crowded by too many people, he also staggered to the ground and was stepped on several times. But soon, there was a loud noise from Sun Mingyuan who was drowned by the crowd. Immediately afterward, a strong smell of blood permeated, and the soldiers' corpses flew out along with their broken limbs. Sun Mingyuan flew high in the air, looking at the corner of Dragon Tiger Mountain where the corpses were spreading across the field like ants. He sneered and said, just a group of mere mortals also dares to seek revenge from me. Why don't you all look at yourselves whether you are capable of that? He stared at Chen Guang, who was also badly injured, and stretched out his finger. Suddenly, Chen Guang jumped into the air involuntarily, his throat was firmly clutched, since you choose the hard way, don't blame me for not giving you all a chance. There are 100,000 people here, killing one by one should take some time, right? I believe, in the end, Ouyang Haoshuan will be forced to come out. What do you think? Chen Guang was clutched by his throat, his face turned blue, and there was a huge wound in his abdomen that was bleeding. But he didn't flinch at all. He stared at the man in front of him with hatred. He said ruthlessly, you dream. Young master will definitely survive, and one day, he will seek revenge from your Feng family and destroy your Feng family. Chapter 827, You're still alive, ha 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 ha. Destroy us? With just Ouyang Haoshuan? Stop daydreaming. Sun Mingyuan laughed tauntingly, then a murderous intent burst out from his eyes, okay, then I will kill you first. See how many do I have to kill to make Ouyang Haoshuan come out? As Sun Mingyuan said, the force strangling Chen Guang suddenly increased. However, suddenly, a fiery red sword light flew straight toward him from a distance. Sun Mingyuan was caught off guard, and the red sword light hit his wrist. A heart-wrenching burning pain came. With Sun Mingyuan's perseverance, he couldn't help but wail for taking such pain. His hand that was clutching Chen Guang released. Chen Guang fell straight from midair. There was no spiritual power in his body at this time, so if he fell straight to the ground, he would definitely be dead. Just when he was about to fall to death, he stepped on something solid all of a sudden. His originally weak body was also held on. Chen Guang looked back in panic and saw a handsome cold face with charred eyebrows. Suddenly, Chen Guang only felt the tip of his nose sour, and tears burst from his eyes. Young master. That's right, the young man in front of me has a look very similar to that of Ouyang Zhixiong when he was young. If he is not the only son of Ouyang Zhixiong, Ouyang Haoshuan, who would he be? Ouyang Haoshuan carried Chen Guang and landed softly to the ground. He saw that his spiritual power was weak and disordered. There was even a serious injury in his abdomen. So, he took out a bottle of medicinal pills and threw it to him. You take the medicinal pills to heal yourself first. Chen Guang took the medicinal pills and looked at Ouyang Haoshuan carefully. He noticed that he had become thinner, and his temperament became much colder, but he was still alive. He couldn't help crying, and said while sobbing, "Young master, you are still alive, it's great. The Ouyang family still hasn't ended yet, it is so great." Thinking of his parents, Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes were stained with sadness. After wavering for a while, he said, "Now there is no Ouyang mansion anymore, please don't call me young master again, Uncle Chen." Ouyang Haoshuan's words made Chen Guang's tears surging out again. At this time, many soldiers underneath also surrounded him. Seeing the intact Ouyang Haoshuan, many of them couldn't help having tears in their eyes. Chen Guang swallowed a medicinal pill given by Ouyang Haoshuan, then he gave the remaining medicinal pills to the other soldiers who had just been injured. As soon as the medicinal pills were in the stomach, before he channeled his spiritual power, he felt a warm current flowing throughout his body, making him so comfortable that he wanted to sigh. In just a short moment, the originally dry spiritual power in his body actually filled up his dantian. The wounds that were still bleeding were slowly healed because of the nourishment of spiritual power. Chen Guang said with a trembling voice, "Young master, this medicinal pill is," Ouyang Haoshuan said lightly, "fourth grade spirit healing pill. If it is not enough, I still have more here." Before leaving Sealed Dragon Domain, Shiyu gave him a lot of medicinal pills. Just the fourth grade medicinal pills alone, she gave him a dozen bottles of them. Shiyu said that this superb fourth grade spirit healing pill could instantly replenish spiritual power. There was no need to adjust his breath. It was an important piece of item to heal HP and MP in a battle, and Shiyu said so. The fourth grade spirit healing pill can instantly restore spiritual power. Chen Guang was shocked. But before he asked, Sun Mingyuan landed slowly from the sky. Chapter 828, Aren't We a Family? There was a pea-sized wound on his hand, and it was emitting sizzling smokes as if the flesh was completely burnt. Just by hearing the sound, one could even feel the pain. But Sun Mingyuan didn't seem to feel the pain at all. When he confirmed that the person in front of him was Ouyang Haoshuan, he burst into laughter. "Ouyang Haoshuan, you really came. Our plans for this month aren't in vain finally." Ouyang Haoshuan didn't even look at him, but he just looked at Ouyang Zhiping who was aside. "Second uncle, it's been a long time." Ouyang Haoshuan's expression was calm, and his tone of voice was even with a slight smile. But Ouyang Zhiping shuddered in horror when he met his dead and dark eyes. Haoshuan, you are still alive, it's really great. Second uncle was very worried about you that day. I had been searching for you under the Breaking Spirit Mountain for a long time." Ouyang Haoshuan took a step forward and chuckled softly. "Second uncle, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that I will settle accounts with you now?" Ouyang Zhiping didn't know why he was so afraid of his nephew. In his impression, Ouyang Haoshuan was obviously a modest and polite, and even a little stupid martial artist. The only advantage was that his cultivation talent was good, and he was born into a good family. He was the young master of the Ouyang family. As for him, He was also a member of the Ouyang family. He had the same dad as Ouyang Zhixiong, but he couldn't get anything. Ouyang Mansion was not his, Zhenwei Army was not his, and even walking outside, no one regarded him as a notable person. But now, Ouyang Haoshuan in front of him seemed to have completely changed. He could make him fear by just looking at him. Ouyang Zhiping staggered back and couldn't help yelling, "You, don't come over." Afterward, he shook his head vigorously and explained, Haoshuan, Haoshuan, listen to me, at the Breaking Spirit Mountain that day, I didn't mean to lie to you. I was threatened by the Feng family. I must lead your mother and you to that place, otherwise they will kill me. As he said, he knelt on the ground with a plop. He kowtowed vigorously and said while crying, Haoshuan, I was wrong, I was helpless. Just forgive me. After all, I'm your uncle, I'm your father's brother. Ouyang Haoshuan looked at him condescendingly. He nodded when he heard the words, and he said with a smile, You're right, you are my father's real brother. At the beginning, you colluded with the people of Ouyang family to frame me and my father. Even when your son caused me to have all my meridians broken in the magical beast forest, my father didn't take your life because you are related to him. Yes, yes. Ouyang Zhiping felt that he had seen hope, and he nodded repeatedly, Your father and I are brothers, and I'm your second uncle. We are a family. Even if we have misunderstandings, we are still a family. Haoshuan, please spare me. In that case, then go down and kowtow to my father to apologize. After speaking, a fist-sized fireball flew out of Ouyang Haoshuan's hand, penetrating Ouyang Zhiping's heart silently. Ouyang Zhiping's eyes kept widening, his eyes were filled with disbelief. He always thought that Ouyang Haoshuan would spare him. Ouyang Haoshuan valued his relatives so much. Even though he found that his son caused his meridians to be severed, he just killed his son without touching his family. He thought that Ouyang Haoshuan would spare him like before, but... Chapter 829, became a dead person. Ouyang Zhiping felt the pain of his heart being burned by the fire, and he fell to the ground unwillingly. Ouyang Haoshuan coldly watched Ouyang Zhiping's life being burned by flames, but his expression did not fluctuate. There was neither the comfort after revenge nor the sadness and anger of losing all his relatives, the only thing left was the dead-like peace. Immediately afterward, he looked at Sun Mingyuan with a faint cold sneer in his eyes. After meeting Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes, Sun Mingyuan suddenly recovered. He didn't want to admit that he actually had an inexplicable fear when looking at the young man murdering a person. Sun Mingyuan lowered his head and looked at his wrist. It was obviously just a small wound, but no matter how he channeled spiritual power to it, it couldn't heal the wound. This Ouyang Haoshuan, has he ever been so powerful? Didn't young master say that he exploded his gold core? Why is his power even stronger now? However, no matter how powerful he is, isn't he just at the intermediate level of the gold core stage? He has just advanced for 1 month. Even if he is promoted to the advanced level of the gold core stage, he will not be my opponent. What's more, I'm not alone. I still have a hall master helper waiting to ambush in the dark. Thinking of this, Sun Mingyuan immediately calmed down. He even laughed secretly at his unfounded worry. He stopped worrying about the wound on his wrist. He looked at Ouyang Haoshuan with a sneer, Ouyang Haoshuan, since you walk into the trap yourself, you should know that you have nowhere to run. Ouyang Haoshuan raised his eyebrows and slowly revealed a gentle smile. His eyebrows seemed to be dyed with a brilliant red. I'm afraid you won't be able to see if I can escape. Because you will soon become a dead person. Ha 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 ha, just you alone can kill me. Ouyang Haoshuan, do you think? Sun Mingyuan hadn't finished speaking, but Ouyang Haoshuan had already risen into the air. He was holding a red sword in his hand which was named as Red Lotus. It was a flying sword with a simple and unique shape. This was given to Ouyang Haoshuan by Shiyu from the sealed dragon domain. The Red Lotus sword had a feminine appearance which was actually not suitable for Ouyang Haoshuan. But this was the only one that could completely withstand the fire's spiritual power released by Ouyang Haoshuan without being damaged. The slender body of the red lotus sword suddenly lit up with a burst of red light as Ouyang Haoshuan flew. Immediately afterward, a faint flame enveloped the body of the red lotus sword. As the red lotus sword slashed through the sky, the air at the feet of Dragon Tiger Mountain seemed to be boiling. The moment Sun Mingyuan saw Ouyang Haoshuan taking out the red lotus sword, he looked extremely solemn. He quickly cast his most proud magic weapon, which was a huge tortoise shell with 108 enchantments engraved on the shell. As long as the shell of the tortoise covered the sky, he could obtain the strongest defense. Under the shell of the tortoise, he could cast all kinds of spells to put his opponent to death. A dazzling golden light lit up on the tortoise shell, and Sun Mingyuan immediately felt relieved. This tortoise shell was an 8th grade magic weapon. No matter how powerful Ouyang Haoshuan was, it was impossible. There was a crack sound in his ears, followed by blazing temperatures. Sun Mingyuan's eyes widened in horror. He watched the cracks appearing on the tortoise shell above his head in disbelief. Those enchantments kept flickering, but they were soon consumed by a blazing flame, then they lost their effect. Chapter 830, The Vengeful Demon. In a short breath, the tortoise shell burst apart. Countless fragments fell from the sky. Ouyang Haoshuan's sword, the sword with red flames, was already close to his face. Before Sun Mingyuan had time to think about it, he raised another flying sword magic weapon in his hand and channeled spiritual power into it, slashing at Ouyang Haoshuan's left arm. He used 90% of his strength with this sword, and he was also the peak master of the Gold Core stage, so the power should naturally not be underestimated. So Sun Mingyuan thought that Ouyang Haoshuan would definitely retreat so that he would be able to cast another magic weapon again to attack. But soon, Sun Mingyuan felt a burning pain in his left shoulder. Then he watched in amazement as his left shoulder and his arm flew out, and there was no trace of blood splashing out on the shoulder that flew out. Instead, it was making a sizzling sound. Ah! Sun Mingyuan let out a miserable scream. His sword also struck on Ouyang Haoshuan's body too. Ouyang Haoshuan's entire left arm was chopped off, and his blood splashed on his face and body. But Ouyang Haoshuan didn't seem to feel any pain. Instead, there was a cold smile on the corner of his mouth, quietly looking at Sun Mingyuan with a sneer of compassion and malice. It was as if the person whose arm was cut off was not him, but someone else. The dripping blood on his face made him look like a ghost crawling out of bloody hell, making people shudder. Sun Mingyuan was really scared this time. He staggered back and murmured, "You're crazy. You're crazy. You're a demon, you are not a human, you are a duh." Ouyang Haoshuan raised the corner of his mouth, letting the blood on the side of his face flow into his mouth. The rust-like fishy smell spread on the tip of his tongue. "Yes, I'm not a human being, I'm a demon who crawled back from hell to seek revenge from your Feng family." When Sun Mingyuan saw this scene, his knees softened and he fell to the ground. After that, he seemed to remember something. He immediately took out an inscribed jade slip from his arms and poured spiritual power into the inscribed jade slip without holding back. The inscribed jade slip immediately emitted a ray of light, spreading light and shadow all around. He stared at Ouyang Haoshuan with fear, then he smiled crazily. "Ha ha ha, Ouyang Haoshuan, even if you kill me, you can't escape. We Feng family do all this to catch you, do you think I'm the only one waiting to ambush you in this Dragon Tiger Mountain? I tell you, around this Dragon Tiger Mountain, there are people of my Feng family everywhere, and there are traps laid by our Feng family everywhere. As long as you appear, you will be trapped by our Feng family, and that thing will also belong to our Feng family." Sun Mingyuan's words did not surprise Ouyang Haoshuan, but Qin Guang and the others were shocked. Qin Guang said anxiously, "Young master, what they said must be true. The Feng family has been looking for you. They wouldn't just send him alone. Young master, quick, we will escort you out. Even if all of our Jinwei army are going to die, we must send you out." As he said, his gaze fell on Ouyang Haoshuan's broken arm with extreme sadness and anger in his eyes. Feng family is really too much. Young master, you must stay alive, we are still waiting for you to avenge General. Ouyang Haoshuan's eyes trembled slightly, and he stretched out his intact right hand to wipe the bloodstains off his face. Chapter 831. Is this immortal art? Just as he was about to speak, suddenly, an exaggerated male voice came from behind. Damn, what's going on? Ouyang Haoshuan, I just came a little late, why did you become like this? This voice immediately attracted everyone's attention. But Crown Prince Shen Guanqi was the first one to recognize that. At this time, Shen Guanqi looked really flustered. After Ouyang Haoshuan appeared, the whole situation was completely reversed. Ouyang Zhiping was killed and Sun Mingyuan was also seriously injured under Ouyang Haoshuan. All of the Zhenwei army rebelled on the spot, they didn't regard him as the crown prince at all. So Shen Guanqi was caught by the soldiers of the Zhenwei army and beaten up, and his guards all ended up just like him. There were even a few guards who were stepped into mashed meat by hundreds of Zhenwei army soldiers. Shen Guanqi had a swollen face, and his heart was full of panic. So what if the Feng family had an ambush to kill Ouyang Haoshuan? He would be killed before that. I have just gotten the succession edict, and I'm about to ascend the throne, how can I die here? Just when Shen Guanqi was desperate, he heard familiar voices and saw a familiar person. For a moment, he seemed to have caught the life-saving straw. He couldn't be bothered by how embarrassed he was when he was tied up. He twisted his body and rushed toward the direction of the voice. Protector by, help. Help. I'm Shen Guanqi, I'm Crown Prince Shen Guanqi. Ouyang Haoshuan and Zhenwei army have committed treason. They are going to kill me, Protector by, please save me. As soon as Shen Guanqi called out the title Protector by, Sun Mingyuan immediately realized who this handsome man in white was. He was Bai Hu, one of King of Hell Nangong-Yu's 4 confidants. Although King of Hell Nangong-Yu belonged to the Jinling kingdom, he had always had a good relationship with the Feng family. For a time, Feng Lianying, the eldest lady of their Feng family, almost married Nangong-Yu as his concubine. Now that Bai Hu suddenly appeared, it was naturally a friend but not an enemy. Sun Mingyuan was already prepared to die. Although he sent out a distress signal, it still took time for the reinforcements to come over. Ouyang Haoshuan could easily finish him off during this time. Moreover, in order to ensure that Ouyang Haoshuan could be captured, the ambush location was very important. Almost all the way out of the Dragon Tiger Mountain were blocked. If too many manpower were moved, loopholes were likely to occur which would allow Ouyang Haoshuan to escape. For the Feng family, Sun Mingyuan didn't mind dying for it. However, the appearance of Bai Hu now gave him a glimmer of hope for survival. Brother Bai Hu, I'm the hall master of the Feng family, Sun Mingyuan. Please help me catch Ouyang Haoshuan, our master will give you heavy rewards. Bai Hu ignored both Sun Mingyuan and Shen Guanqi. He walked up quickly and saw Ouyang Haoshuan's severed arm. He said helplessly, hey, you don't have to go all out like this. Just to kill such trash, you don't even want your arm? Can't you wait until we are here before making a move? Ouyang Haoshuan calmly walked a few steps aside, picked up his broken arm from the ground, and put it in the storage device calmly. His tone was as peaceful as the weather today. It doesn't matter, you can connect it. Even if my PRI. Mr. She can connect it, you can't. What the fuck, wait. What are you talking about? Mr. She can even connect a broken arm? Is this, still medical skills? Isn't this immortal art? Chapter 832, It's You Guys. A smile appeared at the corner of Ouyang Haoshuan's mouth, but before he could speak, Shen Guanqi already shouted loudly, Protector Bai, what are you doing? Then Ouyang Haoshuan is a traitor, come and save me. I'm the crown prince. Bai Hu picked his ear and glanced at Shen Guanqi and Sun Mingyuan. Sorry, what did you just say? I didn't hear clearly, can you say it again? At this time, Sun Mingyuan had already shown a gloomy face as he seemed to have realized something. He questioned in a hateful voice, you guys are together. Bai Hu laughed loudly with a contemptuous expression of, oh, only now you guess it, but he said, Hall Master's son is so insightful. But Hall Master's son just crushed an inscribed jade slip, who are you reporting to? It can be He Sha, right? Ha ha ha, if it's He Sha, I advise Hall Master's son not to waste your effort. Sun Mingyuan's complexion changed as he said in anger, what do you mean by this? Bai Hu curled his lips and joked, because my master has already rushed to the palace a few hours ago. Well, to protect the emperor, now your black law protector, I'm afraid that he has long since become a corpse. You, what did you say? Sun Mingyuan screamed, our Feng family treats King of Hell well, why should Nangong you go against our Feng family? Moreover, He Sha is also at the nascent soul stage, Nangong you won't be able to kill him, it's impossible. Bai Hu forced out a laugh, then he approached him, whispering in his ears in a voice that only they could hear, at Luli's sect that day, your elder Feng said the same thing that our master wouldn't kill him. However, the result is, ah. Sun Mingyuan glared in fright at Bai Hu, it's you guys, it's you guys. Bai Hu laughed softly, for other things, why don't you ask your people of the Feng family when you reach hell? As he said, he glanced at Ouyang Haoshuan and made a gesture of, please, I'll let you do the revenge. Sun Mingyuan panted violently. He even forgot the existence of Ouyang Haoshuan. He pointed his finger at Bai Hu, and his incoherent voice sounded, it's you guys killed. Nangong you, Ouyang Haoshuan laughed slightly, and his only left hand raised the red lotus sword. The red lotus sword ignited, piercing into Sun Mingyuan's abdomen. At the next moment, Sun Mingyuan could no longer question Bai Hu, he could only let out a miserable wail. His entire dantian was on fire, and the fire spread to his meridians, making him so painful that let alone speaking, even breathing was difficult for him. Except for rolling on the ground and screaming in pain, he couldn't do anything. Bai Hu looked at Sun Mingyuan's miserable appearance with a little shock. He looked at Ouyang Haoshuan and muttered, what kind of spiritual power are you cultivating? How can it be so powerful? I remember that this elder son is also cultivating fire spiritual power, right? He actually rolls on the ground like a roasted pig. Ouyang Haoshuan's mouth raised a gentle smile. He said with a casual tone, this fire will burn for 12 hours. Don't worry, he can do nothing but scream and howl during these 12 hours, but he won't die. Even the water from the 1,000 years glacier will not extinguish the flames on him. What kind of fire is this? Ouyang Haoshuan was wiping the red lotus sword. He paused slightly, raised his eyebrow and said with a smile, you can treat it as red lotus hell fire. Bai Hu looked at Ouyang Haoshuan, whose face was still stained with blood, then he looked at the still alive Sun Mingyuan whose skin was sizzling. He couldn't help shuddering. No wonder I felt that Ouyang Haoshuan was terrifying in the sealed dragon domain's secret territory. It seems that it was really not an illusion. But fortunately, he has already recognized the princess as his master, a friend instead of an enemy, otherwise it will be hard to deal with. The screams of Sun Mingyuan echoed at the foot of Dragon Tiger Mountain. Even the Jinwei army's soldiers felt creep hearing it. They looked at Ouyang Haoshuan with awe in their eyes. Not to mention Shangguanqi, he had been frightened by Ouyang Haoshuan's mien. He wanted to run very much, but his whole body was firmly tied up, and he and his guards were being watched by hundreds of the Jinwei army. Ouyang Haoshuan wiped off the blood on Red Lotus Sword, and his eyes slowly fell on Shangguanqi. Shangguanqi only felt ice cold all over his body, and an extreme fear surged into his heart. After that, a hot stream flowed out from his crotch, making his body full of urine smell. Ouyang Haoshuan walked toward Shangguanqi step by step. Shangguanqi glanced at the miserable situation of Sun Mingyuan, thinking that he would end up like this too. He couldn't help crying for mercy, young Master Ouyang, please forgive me. I was just possessed back then for trying to incorporate the Jinwei armies for my own use. I didn't harm General Ouyang and his wife, please spare me. Ouyang Haoshuan walked up to him, looked at him condescendingly, and smiled slightly. Huh? You said you want to incorporate Jinwei army? No. 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 Not anymore. Shen Guanqi kept squirming back and screamed, Young Master Ouyang, the Jinwei army belongs to you. I don't dare to think about it anymore. Please forgive me, the Feng family instructed me to do all this. Yes, yes. It's the Feng family. Shen Guanqi seemed to have thought of something. He immediately regained his spirit, and he said loudly, Young Master Ouyang, I know that the Feng family wants to catch you, which was why they helped me in incorporating the Jinwei army. They have already set up a tight encirclement at the Dragon Tiger Mountain. There are at least dozens of gold core stage among them. You will never escape, Young Master Ouyang. He saw Ouyang Haoshuan with a slight smile. For some reason, he was infinitely scared, so he had to speak desperately to fight for his own hope of survival. Young Master Ouyang, you can never escape by yourself. But if you let me go, then it's a different case. Yes. As long as you let me go, I can disguise you up as my guard. The Feng family and I have a good relationship, and I'm the crown prince of the Jinling kingdom. They will never check my guards. That way, you can leave the Dragon Tiger Mountain alive. Ouyang Haoshuan raised the corner of his eye, showing a half-smile on his face. Before he spoke, Bai Hu had already clapped and laughed. Shen Guanqi, it's really not easy to be you. At such a critical moment, you can come up with such a great idea. It seems that you are not so stupid. You still have some quick wit. Shen Guanqi stiffened, staring at Bai Hu resentfully. He gritted his teeth and said, Bai Hu, don't go too far. I'm the crown prince of the Jinling kingdom, even your master king of hell has to call me crown prince. You are just a mere subordinate, and you dare to offend me. Before Shen Guanqi's words were finished, there was a loud pop in his ear, followed by a fiery pain on his face. His painful face was distorted. He opened his mouth and spat out 2 bloody teeth. Bai Hu gently rubbed his hands and smiled leisurely. Sorry, I didn't hear clearly. Who did you just say have to call you crown prince? Who is a just mere subordinate? Why don't you repeat it to me again? Shen Guanqi only felt that his blood stagnated. He hated Bai Hu to his core, but he didn't dare to offend him again. He lowered his eyes and swallowed his resentment into his stomach. In order to keep himself alive, he cast a pleasing glance look at Ouyang Haoshuan. Young Master Ouyang, don't see that this Bai Hu was rude to Hall Master's son just now. In fact, their King of Hell mansion and the Feng family have a good relationship. King of Hell almost married Ice Lotus Fairy, Feng Lianying. Young Master Ouyang, you are alone and helpless in this Dragon Tiger Mountain. The only person you can rely on is me. Please believe me, don't be fooled by Bai Hu's conspiracy. Hey, this guy actually said that I tricked you? I think he is really tired of living. Bai Hu rolled up his sleeves and was about to pull out Shen Guanqi's tongue, but as he took one step, he was stopped by Ouyang Haoshuan. Bai Hu said with a cold face, Hey, you won't believe what this coward said, right? Ouyang Haoshuan returned him with a cold smile. Bai Hu felt a chill in his back for some reason, and he took a step back inexplicably. Ouyang Haoshuan stepped forward slowly, walked in front of Shen Guanqi, bowed his head and said, Shen Guanqi, in breaking Spirit Mountain that day, you said that my parents were traitors, so they deserved to be dead, am I right? Shen Guanqi's eyes were originally full of hope, but his gaze suddenly turned into panic and fear. He only felt that his blood was frozen, and he muttered, No. I was forced, the Feng family forced me. I respected General Ouyang a lot. I never regard him as a traitor. You must believe me. Shen Guanqi's expression twisted as he said halfway. His face, which had been pale because of fear, became flushed inexplicably. Then the flush became thicker and brighter. There was even a steaming hot stream. Ah! Shang Guangqi let out a dreadful scream. He scratched his face crazily. The next moment, something terrible happened. As his fingers touched his face rotted in one touch as if it was overcooked. The blood and flesh, with hot air and bubbling blister, finally melted completely. Shang Guangqi released his hand in horror and raised it to his eyes. Seeing the blistering flesh and blood in his hand, he finally unable to bear the inhuman pain and fear, and he fell to the ground with his mouth wide open. Shang Guangqi was dead. Moreover, before he was dead to the fire planted by Ouyang Haoshuan, before his organs were burned to ashes, he was scared to death by himself. Bai Hu frowned in disgust while watching. He complained to Ouyang Haoshuan, "Hey, brother Ouyang, can't you be gentle when you deal with this weakling? After seeing such a disgusting body, aren't you afraid not having an appetite for your dinner?" Ouyang Haoshuan calmly took out a medicine bottle, sprinkled powder on his broken arm, which was still dripping blood, and said faintly, "I have to let them know how my parents felt when they died." Bai Hu's expression froze, and the humorous expression on his face was taken back. He felt depressed in his mind, and he could not speak for a while. Chen Guang, who was listening to the side, couldn't help wiping his tears. He took a step forward and said, "Young master, now the general is no longer there. Huizhenwei army has no leader. Please become the new commander of our 100,000 army." Ouyang Haoshuan casually wrapped a piece of gauze around his broken arm before looking at Chen Guang and saying faintly, "The new commander of the Zhenwei army is not me, and I do not have a commander's seal that can mobilize the Zhenwei army." "What? The commander's seal is missing?" Chen Guang exclaimed, then he immediately shook his head, "No. Young master, you are the only son of General Ouyang. Even if the commander's seal is lost, you are the only master we recognize. Please also don't worry about it." Ouyang Haoshuan snorted and looked at Chen Guang faintly, "I think you may not know one thing. Before my father died, he entrusted both the Zhenwei army and me to one person. Now, the commander's seal of the Zhenwei army in her hands, and I already recognize her as my master. Therefore, she is the real new master of the Zhenwei army." What? This time, not only Chen Guang but also other soldiers who were listening could not help but exclaim, "Who is he?" The thought of an unknown stranger coming to lead their Zhenwei army and become their new commander, Chen Guang and several generals looked extremely ugly. They had existed as private armies of the Ouyang family for decades, and Ouyang Zhixiong was their master, their everything. Now that Ouyang Zhixiong was dead, the only person they could admit was his son Ouyang Haoshuan. But who knows, Ouyang Haoshuan refused to lead the Zhenwei army, and he even said that the Zhenwei army belonged to his master. Master? Then, what kind of person is he? As Chen Guang was about to ask more clearly, Ouyang Haoshuan's brows moved slightly. He looked at the sky not far away. Bai Hu also snorted, "What's the matter with Ah Wu? Didn't I ask him to clean up all the worthless people of the Feng family around the Dragon Tiger Mountain?" Chen Guang was startled, and he also turned his gaze. In the north sky, countless figures appeared quickly. "Hiss!" Chen Guang took a breath, then said in a trembled voice, that is, young master, are those the Feng family people who come to pursue you?" The people in the sky soon landed on the ground. There were a total of 30 martial artists, and the leader was a middle-aged man who had dark skin and a square face. His cultivation was similar to Sun Mingyuan, who was at the peak of the gold core stage. Behind him, there were 5 early stage to intermediate stage of the gold core stage martial artists. The remaining martial artists were all at the later stage of the meridian stage. As soon as Bai Hu saw the leader, he curled his lips and said, "It turns out to be another of the 4 hall masters of the Feng family, Kai Jie." Chen Guang looked at the densely packed martial artists at the foot of the mountain, and his heart sank a little after listening to Bai Hu's words to confirm that they were the Feng family members. Young master has been injured, and Bai Hu is no more than 2 martial artists of the gold core stage. How can we fight with these 30+ people? He gritted his teeth and whispered to Ouyang Haoshuan, young master, later you'll run first. Ouyang Haoshuan glanced at him, interrupted him, and slowly said, Uncle Chen, stop talking nonsense. Chen Guang was stunned, staring at Ouyang Haoshuan blankly. Ouyang Haoshuan raised the corners of his mouth and revealed a gentle smile, but his once clear eyes were now like the deep abyss leading to hell, exuding scarlet and cruel that will destroy everything in the world. Gas. Before killing all these people, before letting these people taste the pain my father and my mother once tasted, how can I leave? Chen Guang's breathing suddenly stagnated, and he could no longer say a word. As soon as Kai Jie fell to the ground, he noticed Sun Mingyuan who was wailing and rolling on the ground. His originally leisurely expression changed instantly. His gaze slowly moved on Ouyang Haoshuan and Bai Hu. Who did it on Hall Master's son? Did you two do it? Kai Jie's voice was low and hoarse. It sounds a bit like the voice of a young male duck in the voice change period. It was unspeakably unpleasant to hear. Bai Hu couldn't help frowning in disgust, then he chuckled softly, Palace Master Kai, it's been a long time since I saw you. Bai Hu. Kai Jie stared at him fiercely. His eyes were filled with insidious killing intent in his eyes. I always feel that the King of Hell Mansion has long wanted to betray, and one day it will threaten the Feng family. I have warned the Patriarch many times, but the Patriarch did not believe me. Now it seems that Nan Gongyu is really an ungrateful person with wild ambition, he should be condemned to death. Ha ha ha, Bai Hu felt really funny. He said with a scornful expression on his face, betray. Kai Jie, are you actually stupid? Who is the subordinate of your Feng family? Or your Feng family people will die if you guys are not narcissistic. Just a bunch of stupid trash, you want my master to be loyal to you? Hee hee. Why not you guys commit suicide and reincarnate again? It may be possible in your next life. You. Kai Jie's face was suddenly distorted, and anger almost gushed out of his eyes. The Feng family people behind Kai Jie also looked indignation as if they would charge at Bai Hu at any time. However, after taking a deep breath, Kai Jie still put his attention on Ouyang Haoshuan. He didn't say much, but he waved his hand at the person behind him and said coldly, the purpose of our trip, I believe each of you knows well. Let me deal with Bai Hu. Even if there is only one person left, we need to take Ouyang Haoshuan back. Yes, Hall Master. 30 martial artists moved very quickly, and they surrounded Ouyang Haoshuan and Bai Hu in the blink of an eye. As for the 100,000 Jinwei army, Kai Jie only sent one gold core stage martial artist plus one meridian stage martial artist, and they were suppressed easily. Bai Hu frowned slightly looking at the people surrounding him and Ouyang Haoshuan. The strength of these people really couldn't be dealt with by him and Ouyang Haoshuan alone. Why haven't Xian Wu and Iron Kirin come yet? Could there be any accidents when cleaning up the ambush of the Feng family? Bai Hu approached Ouyang Haoshuan a little and whispered, let's drag the fight with them for a while, Xian Wu and Iron Kirin will come over in a while. Drag the fight? Ouyang Haoshuan lowered his eyebrows and said in a low voice, sorry, I can't do it. Huh? Bai Hu raised his head in surprise, and he met Ouyang Haoshuan's scarlet eyes. That's right. The dark and dead eyes had turned into bloody scarlet. There were even bloodthirsty violence and excitement faintly in these eyes. Chapter 837, You're finally here, now, I just want to use Red Lotus Hellfire to burn their flesh and blood and make them cry in pain. For other things, I can't do. Bai Hu just looked at him, and a feeling of fear inexplicably arose in his heart. However, thinking of Ouyang Haoshuan's experience and the tragic death of his parents, Bai Hu still swallowed his words. As soon as Ouyang Haoshuan's voice fell, the red lotus sword in his hand appeared again. Flames suddenly lit up on the sword, and he had already rushed toward the Feng family. Ah! A horrible scream sounded. The disciple of the Feng family who was targeted by Ouyang Haoshuan was just a meridian stage martial artist. How could he withstand Ouyang Haoshuan's spiritual fire? Suddenly, his beard and flesh burned, making him scream in extreme pain. Kai Jia saw the disciple who was badly mutilated by the burn, then he looked at Sun Mingyuan who couldn't get rid of the flame. His face became unspeakably ugly. He had just tried to extinguish the flames on Sun Mingyuan, and he even wanted to kill him to end his pain, but all his magic weapons and flying swords were burned to ashes before getting close to Sun Mingyuan. How did Ouyang Haoshuan become so powerful? What kind of spiritual fire is he using? Thinking of this, Kai Jia immediately sank his face and shouted, all the martial artists of the ice spiritual power use ice shields. The others rush up and cut off Ouyang Haoshuan's other hand. I don't believe that he can still resist without both hands. As soon as Kai Jia gave the order, his men immediately rushed up desperately. The three of them formed a small team in a small formation. When they saw Ouyang Haoshuan's spiritual fire spreading over, they immediately cast an ice shield and retreated quickly. After all, Ouyang Haoshuan was only alone, and his one hand was missing. Although his cultivation had improved a lot, he was only at the gold core stage after all. In addition, he just killed Sun Mingyuan, Shengguan Qi, and other people and consumed too much spiritual power. His strength and spiritual fire would gradually be exhausted. Finally, a gold core stage martial artist's hammer hit his hand. Hearing only the sound of bone breaking, Ouyang Haoshuan staggered, and Red Lotus sword fell to the ground. Bai Hu, who was fighting with Kai Jia, suddenly looked shocked, and he shouted, Ouyang Haoshuan. As soon as his voice sounded, a familiar thunder flashed by. It was just a moment. Amidst the thunder strike, the Feng family people, who had originally surrounded Ouyang Haoshuan and were ecstatically trying to tie him up, screamed and fell to the ground. Even Kai Jia, who was fighting with Bai Hu, had his face twisted, showing an expression of pain and unwillingness, then he fell to the ground. Bai Hu was stunned at first, then he rubbed his eyes and looked at the handsome man and the young boy with clear features who slowly appeared not far in front. He couldn't help but exclaimed with joy, Master, Prin. Mr. Shi, you are finally here. The two people who suddenly appeared in front of them were Nangong Yu and Heshi who came through the magical beast forest. Nangong Yu's one hand was holding Heshi's slender waist, and the other hand was slowly controlling a thunderball. He looked at Kai Jia, who was lying on the ground, with a half-smile. Kai Jia looked extremely pale at this time, but his eyes were full of resentment when looking at Nangong Yu. Nangong Yu, are you really going against the Feng family? Have you forgotten who desperately saved your life? You requite kindness with enmity and this way, don't you afraid of being condemned by God? Chapter 838, Time to clean up. Before Nangong Yu hadn't spoken yet, Bai Hu yucked and said with a disgusted face, are all your Feng family mentally retarded? Every single one of you keeps saying I have life-saving grace to you. Do you really think Feng Tianba has a life-saving grace to my master? Pooey. It's more like deep hatred. Telling the same lie for 100 times, you really think you are telling the truth? What? Kai Jia was shocked when he heard the words, what do you mean by this? Bai Hu shook his head and sneered, so you don't know anything? It's so pitiful. It seems that you are loyal to Feng family, but they don't really treat you as their people. While he was talking, he suddenly saw a familiar figure in black galloping from the sky. Bai Hu immediately left Kai Jia behind and waved to the people excitedly, I said Ah Wu, why are you so slow? Even master has arrived, but you only arrive now. Xian Wu ignored him, walked straight to Nangong Yu, bowed slightly and said, Master, Mr. Shi, Feng family's ambush at Dragon Tiger Mountain have all been cleaned up. I have confirmed that no secret messages have sent out. Nangong Yu nodded and said with a faint expression, after returning, call the Iron Kirin guards to gather at Yanjing. It's time to clean it up. Xian Wu was shocked. Does this mean we are going all out with the Feng family? But he didn't hesitate. Instead, a trace of excitement appeared in his calm eyes. He bowed and said, "Understood." At this time, Kai Jie's face could no longer be described as ugly, but it was full of despair. He stared at Nan Gongyu, gritted his teeth and said, "Nan Gongyu, I have seen the development of King of Hell Mansion in the past 10 years. I believe that our Feng family treats you well, and we even want to marry our miss to you. Even if there is no life-saving grace, you are not our enemy. Why do you want to do this to our Feng family?" Nan Gongyu ignored him, but Bai Hu couldn't help but said, "Fool. Don't you understand this? Initially, my master was going to let you Feng family to stay in Yanjing for a few more years, but who asked you to provoke you someone you shouldn't? You even tried to steal something from our princess." "What princess? Steal what?" Bai Hu smiled and said, "Don't you know, this Xinwei army belongs to our princess. To snatch things from the princess is equivalent to snatching things from our King of Hell Mansion. Of course, our master is going to make a move." He had already broken free from Nan Gongyu's arms at this time, and she couldn't help but glared at Bai Hu. This guy is really talkative and noisy. Nan Gongyu's face was a bit ugly. He didn't bother Kai Jia and the others who was groaning below. His eyes were always looking sadly at He. Because He had broken free from his embrace at this time and came to Ouyang Haoshuan. Seeing Ouyang Haoshuan's arm was chopped off, and the other arm was drooping softly, which was apparently fractured, He frowned. Ouyang Haoshuan had a faint smile on her face. When he saw her, the darkness in his eyes seemed to fade a little. "Shiyu, you are here." He frowned and ignored him, but she spread her hands and said, "Where is the broken arm?" Ouyang Haoshuan took out the broken arm from the storage item and handed it to He. He checked the incision and found that the meridians hadn't shrunk or been damaged, and she was relieved. She knelt down in front of Ouyang Haoshuan and tore off the white cloth he wrapped around the wound. The cut of the wound inside was also neat. Here are 2 extra chapters for achieving 2 Patreon community goals. Grats! Chapter 839, Limb Suture. He raised her head, then she pulled over a person casually and said, "You come here, hold him down for me. Don't let him move no matter what." The soldier who was pointed out was startled and repeated blankly, "Me? Is it me?" Ouyang Haoshuan chuckled, "Shiyu, I don't need someone to hold me down, I won't move. I can bear this pain." He raised her eyes and looked at him with a sneer, "Okay, you said that. Since you are so tolerant, you don't care even if your arm is chopped off, so I think anesthetics aren't necessary. I will suture the meridians in a while. You can endure the process. If you dare to move during this period, don't blame me for being impolite." Ouyang Haoshuan was taken aback, but He did not give him a chance to repent. Countless silver needles had already appeared in her hand. Some of these silver needles were ordinary acupuncture needles, and some were suture needles with catgut. With a solemn face, she asked the soldier to hold Ouyang Haoshuan's arm and place it about 5 centimeters away from the wound of the broken arm. The little soldier tremblingly grabbed the cold, bloody arm. Seeing He continuously sticking the needle to Ouyang Haoshuan, he couldn't help but say in a tremble, Mister, what are you doing? Shut up. Don't move." In fact, she was a little angry. Ouyang Haoshuan's deadly combat style would one day finish his life, but she also knew that Ouyang Haoshuan needed to vent his anger. Otherwise, he would go crazy. He only said 4 words, then all the preparations were ready. At the next moment, everyone, yes, everyone, including Chen Guang, 100,000 Jinwei army, and Kai Jia, all had their eyes attracted by He. They were staring at her every move. They wished they could wipe their eyes to see if this was real. He had a pair of slender and white jade-like hands. At this time, her hands were dancing as fast as white butterflies flying through flowers. In the dance, the catgut interlaced. These needles and threads were treated with special medicine, and they had been soaked in the spirit spring. They had special toughness and could be integrated into the human body after stitching. It wouldn't cause any harm. The cold silver needle went in and out of Ouyang Haoshuan's wound, then the needle connected to the broken arm in the soldier's hands with the same process. After just a dozen minutes, Ouyang Haoshuan's face was already covered with sweat, his face was pale, and the clothes on his back were drenched in sweats. That was not the pain of flesh being cut, but the real suture of the meridians. However, no one cared whether he was hurt or not. Even Chen Guang's eyes were attracted by Heshi's every move, and he couldn't bother about anything else. Seeing that all the meridians were connected by the catgut, Heshi pulled her hand abruptly. That broken arm came out from the little soldier's hand and slammed onto the wound. They were stitched tightly. Ouyang Haoshuan finally couldn't help but let out a muffled snort. Heshi's hands kept moving. She quickly picked up another needle with catgut and sew for one round on the outer skin. After Heshi cut the last knot of the catgut, a drop of sweat dripped from Heshi's forehead onto her long eyelashes. Before she wiped it off with her sleeves, a pair of warm hands stretched out with a silk handkerchief and gently wiped her sweaty forehead and eyelashes. Chapter 840. Lost in admiration, Heshi raised her head and met Nangong Yu's tender eyes. She couldn't help but smile at him. But before the two of them had a moment of tenderness, Bai Hu, who didn't know he had ruined the mood, couldn't help but exclaimed, Is this broken arm connected already? Brother Ouyang, you can move your arm now. Ouyang Haoshuan had just relieved from the pain at this time. He felt like he was just being pulled out of the water, gasping heavily with a pale face. However, the expression on his face was indifferently smiling from beginning to end. After hearing that, he raised his hand and moved his fingers slowly. At first, it was a little slow, then it became more and more smooth. In the end, he even grabbed catgut on the side and tied a knot with 2 fingers. At the incision of the arm, except for a loop of some ugly sutures, it looked the same as a normal arm. My God! The broken arm is actually connected. How can there be such terrifying medical skills in the world? I've only heard that the 8th grade doctors or above can use rare materials to reshape the lost hands and feet of martial artists. I have never heard of someone who can resew the hands and feet that have been cut off. Who is this young man? How can he be so powerful if he is only 16 or 17 years old? Someone called him Mr. Shi just now. Is he the miracle healer Shi that is now rumored in the Yanjing city? That young miracle healer who healed young master's broken veins? I heard that Xingda Hall is also ran by him. The best quality pills sold in it can't even be made by the Doctors Association. One after another, the discussion continued to spread among the solders of the Jinwei army, and it became more and more intense. The soldier who had observed Heshi's amazing suture technique up close admired Heshi even more. He was looking at her as if looking at a god. However, as if thinking of something, the little soldier lowered his eyebrows sadly and said in a sobbing voice, Miracle healer Shi, if only we could get to know you sooner, then my brother would not become disabled. His leg was chopped on the battlefield. His talent is better than me, and he has more experience than me, but now he can only lie in bed like a cripple all day. The words of the little soldier made other people in the Jinwei army immediately show a sad expression. One soldier also wiped his tears and said, My father too, he was bitten off with a hand and a foot when he was fighting against the magical beast. He has been fighting on the battlefield all his life. How can he stand such a fact? He can only live his life with alcohol now. The battlefield was ruthless, the weapons had no eyes. Death and disability were the easiest they appear in the battlefield. The method of reshaping body by the high-level doctors had to use rare materials. How could ordinary people afford it? Even if they couldn't easily find a doctor above the 8th grade. Even Xian Wu and Bai Hu showed sad expressions, especially Xian Wu. He was leading the Iron Kirin. Although Iron Kirin was 100 times stronger than Jinwei army, it was an army after all. As long as the army was on the battlefield, it was impossible to have no casualties. He just watched the magical scene where Heshi easily sutured Ouyang Haoxuan's broken arm, and he couldn't help thinking. If the injured brothers in the Iron Kirin could be treated by the princess, would they not be disabled? Could they keep staying in the army? Heshi had walked to the other side of Ouyang Haoxuan at this time and checked the injury on his other hand. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.